The heaven realm was so big, not only Chen Xiang and Huang Jintian had the idea of making a fortune, there were also many other people who were willing to risk their lives to come to the battlefield of the battle for the throne to try their luck. The heaven realm was so big, not only Chen Xiang and Huang Jintian had the idea of making a fortune, there were also many other people who were willing to risk their lives to come to the battlefield of the battle for the throne to try their luck. At this time, the majority of the people partook. 1. Aiding in the great battle in the palace were immortal monarch and late period of human immortal, and they were all from famous big powers, so all the equipment that they brought were divine equipment. Even if they were damaged they could be sold for a good price. If they were lucky they would be able to get a piece that was intact, and that would be great. Brat, you must be the one who did the Heavenly Bull Immortal Palace thing, right? Huang Jintian was now full of energy. He had already recovered to the peak, and could go to that battlefield to cause trouble at any time. You know about the Heavenly Bull Immortal Palace as well. Chen Xiang stood up, patted his butt, and asked in shock. Other than you, I can't think of anyone else with this kind of skill, nor can I think of anyone with such a good relations. Hi+P with women. You must have gotten that Holy Spirit rabbit for your woman. Let me remind you, you definitely can't use it yourself, unless you're tired of being a man. Huang Jintian looked at Chen Xiang with a serious expression. Chen Xiang chuckled. Master, you don't have to worry, I will never become your female disciple. Huang Jintian grinned. It's not bad having a female disciple, but a brat like you is so happy as a man. Even if I beat you to death you wouldn't go and be a woman, right? We can set off now, master. When I use some poison or something, there shouldn't be a problem. Chen Xiang said, with his current strength, if he wanted to cause trouble, he could only do so. I heard that when you were in the Heavenly Bull Immortal Palace, you used the black blood magic sunflowers poison. This poison isn't forbidden, so just use it as you like. Huang Jintian rubbed his hands together as he smiled. When the time comes, we'll split up and move out. Don't come together, otherwise we will attract some experts that will implicate you. However, you need to be careful. If you see the Immortal Empire charging over, quickly run. Huang Jintian warned. Chen Xiang nodded, then was pulled by Huang Jintian and rushed towards the distant battlefield that was engulfed in violent oppression. At this moment, the place was densely covered in black clouds, lightning flashed, thunder roared, winds rose and clouds surged, roars, explosions rang unceasingly, and the battle situation was extremely intense. Let's stop here. See you in the future. Huang Jintian tossed Chen Xiang at the foot of a bare mountain, then flew towards the battlefield not far away. Chen Xiang looked at the barren hills around him. They were caused by the chi waves released by the great battle. Originally, there were many big trees here, but they were all destroyed the moment the Great War broke out. Whether it's the early stage of Immortal Monarch or the late period of Human Immortal, everyone stay away from the rest. There are 2 late period of Human Immortal-s fighting in front of us. Long Shui said. Chen Xiang immediately rushed over. In these 2 big battles, the ones that died the most should be worldly immortals. As long as we don't meet the Immortal King, it would be difficult to kill them, unless we meet someone strong with poison. Long Shui said. This method of fighting is also to weaken the opponent's strength, so that they cannot have enough power to control the entire immortal country, while the other forces only used a very small amount of power. The main force is still on the side of the 6th prince and the other princes. In front of Chen Xiang, there were 2 middle-aged men who were wielding immortal swords, and were performing beautiful yet powerful sword techniques to fight fiercely. There's no imperial avian race. These should all be Myriad Dan immortal countries people. Chen Xiang hid behind a huge boulder and slowly took out his death-haunting arrow. Who cares? Let's get rid of them first. They only have middle-grade immortal swords, so they can sell a few spiritual crystal. Su Meiyao said. Chen Xiang used the death-haunting arrow to condense a large amount of innate qi to shoot one arrow, and then poured the black blood magic sunflower's poison powder into it, waiting for an opportunity to shoot two birds with one stone. After waiting for a moment, the two worldly immortals finally started to fight back with their sword. He's coming. Chen Xiang's heart moved. He released the poison arrow that he had been preparing for a long time. With a whoosh, a strong chi arrow that was infused with a large amount of black blood magic sunflower poison powder shot out like light, and when it reached the middle of the two worldly immortals, it suddenly exploded, causing a black poison mist. Extremely poisonous, it's a black blood magic sunflower. One of the worldly immortals shouted in shock. Good eye. Chen Xiang suddenly appeared, holding onto the Devil Emperor dagger. He stabbed it into the worldly immortal stage cultivator's abdomen, and took out the heavenly core inside, then quickly took out the sword, Pa-S. Sing through S-P. A-C, to the back of the other worldly immortal. The dagger stabbed in, straight into the heavenly pill. After taking the sword, Chen Xiang used one of the immortal swords to kill the two worldly immortal stage experts. Hurry up, our immortal monarch has noticed us. Long Shui shouted. Chen Xiang moved extremely quickly. After absorbing the poison mist, he immediately left the place. The immortal monarch that came over was a handsome middle-aged man. He looked at the traces of a fierce battle and frowned. Strange, there were two pretty strong worldly immortals fighting just now. Why did they disappear all of a sudden? From the looks of the death aura, there should be two dead people here. It's He Tang. Isn't he the eldest son of the first prince? Chen Xiang was shocked. This He Tang was a very powerful being. He Tang, are you running away? This was He Feng, the eldest son of the sixth prince. He had once destroyed a demon palace by himself, and was very strong. When He Feng arrived, the immortal sword in his hand had already been pierced. The powerful sword chi gushed out, immediately ripping the ground apart, setting up two strong gales, blowing in two different directions. This fellow is indeed powerful. No wonder he was able to exterminate this demon palace. Chen Xiang exclaimed. He Tang was not someone to be trifled with. With a wave of his hand, a black blade appeared. The blade brimmed with black chi, it attracted bursts of lightning, and when He Feng's sword pierced over, he used his blade to block it, releasing tens of lightning bolts, and the sound of the explosion made Chen Xiang's chi and blood boil, causing many of the boulders on the ground to be shaken into powder. The myriad Dan immortal countries W.A.N.G. Sun is indeed powerful. Chen Xiang sighed in his heart. They are all princes now. The future king of myriad Dan immortal country will definitely be strong. Long Shui said. The sound of battle between He Tang and her was extremely intense. In a very short period of time, numerous huge craters had already appeared here, and the deep cracks on the ground caused people's hearts to palpitate. Chen Xiang had originally planned to stay far away from these two people's battlefield, but when he thought about how hypocritical He Feng was, taking his relived Dan and doing those wicked things, he immediately got angry. Hiding in a ditch, he took out his death-haunting arrow and secretly injected it into the innate chi. A little seven-colored sky fire can break through the defense, Su Meiyao said. Otherwise, with that little bit of innate chi, it wouldn't even be able to shake his innate chi's barrier, and the poison mist would be useless. When he was in the Heavenly Bull Immortal Palace, the immortal monarch that Chen Xiang fought against were not very good. But this He Feng was different. He was at the peak of the late stage of the immortal monarch, and could be considered as half a immortal king. Unless he used a large number of magical corruption gases, together with a high-level Geo-Eclipse powder, it would be very difficult to shake his defense. When he was in the Heavenly Bull Immortal Palace, the immortal monarch that Chen Xiang fought against were not very good. But this He Feng was different. He was at the peak of the late stage of the immortal monarch, and could be considered as half a immortal king. Unless he used a large number of magical corruption gases, together with a high-level Geo-Eclipse powder, it would be very difficult to shake his defense. All right. Chen Xiang released a thread of the rainbow sky fire onto the arrowhead. This kind of flame could not guarantee that it would completely destroy He Feng's defense, but it could cause cracks to appear on the protective SHI+ELD. When the time came, the exploding black blood magic sunflower poison gas would seep in through the cracks and into He Feng's body. He Feng and He Tang were battling fiercely. The two of them had both used very strong power. Their defense was also extremely terrifying. If they did not have the same strength as, even if they tried to sneak attack him, it would be difficult to win, and they might even be killed. Just a bit of the rainbow heaven flame had consumed 20% of my innate qi. I hope it will have some effect. Chen Xiang popped his head out from a crack in the ground. He Feng and He Tang were far away and Chen Xiang could already shoot an arrow, but he had to wait for a good opportunity. They are all moving at high speeds. We have to get closer, Long Shui said. Chen Xiang still could not go near, otherwise, he would be easily discovered. Furthermore, with the large commotion in front of him, he could release a very strong wave of air at any time. Seems like I can only use this opportunity and travel through S.P.A.C. to shoot another arrow. Chen Xiang used Heaven Tour and looked down from the sky. After a while, when He Feng was thrusting his sword, he was suddenly blocked by He Tang's blade. He Tang's palm struck his own blade, releasing a very strong force and sent He Feng flying. Here's your chance, He Feng, F*****KU. Chen Xiang immediately teleported to the back of He Feng, who was flying backwards, and shot an arrow at him. He Feng immediately felt a weak vibration behind him. He twisted his body, wanting to avoid the unknown attack, but Chen Xiang's arrow still accurately shot towards him. Who are you? He Feng bellowed. The arrow did not cause him any harm, because the protective qi barrier on his body was extremely strong, and although Chen Xiang's crossbow arrow was extremely powerful, its power was very weak, and the qi barrier that struck his body exploded. He Tang had also seen that this was a good thing. He had already seen Chen Xiang as an ally. Just as He Feng was about to swing his sword at Chen Xiang, his expression suddenly changed. Black blood magic sunflower. You guessed right. Chen Xiang laughed sinisterly. He immediately teleported in front of He Feng and slashed across his neck with the Devil Emperor dagger, leaving behind a ray of demonic red light. He actually wanted to kill He Feng, but this He Feng was too powerful. He managed to dodge it in an instant, and even planned to kill Chen Xiang with a slash, but Chen Xiang's speed was faster than he imagined. While cutting the sword, Devil Emperor dagger just happened to cut off his wrist. When He Feng unleashed his cut-off arm, black blood spurted out violently. It seemed like the poison had already spread within his body. B-A-S-T-A-R-D, I will tear you into 8 pieces. He Feng roared sinisterly, then took out a snow-white pill and swallowed it. That's the Dew Snow Lotus pellet. It can cure the black blood magic sunflower's poison and heal injuries. Quick, run! Su Meiyao shouted. Chen Xiang had already seen that He Feng's recently severed hand was growing back out, and his complexion had also quickly recovered. He could clearly feel how strong He Feng's protective SHI+ELD was. Come here. Chen Xiang waved his hand, using his divine power. He grabbed the immortal sword and kept it into the ring. Go to H-E-L-L. He Feng was enraged. He had already recovered from the attack and his fists shot out like lightning. Chen Xiang slipped and used the shrinking step, and instantly dashed several dozen steps away. As for He Tang, he had already attacked with his black blade. It carried several streaks of lightning as it hacked towards He Feng. I'll leave it to you, eldest young master. Chen Xiang shouted and then disappeared. He Feng trembled with He Tang again. He was currently extremely furious. He had almost died just now. He had lost a high-grade immortal sword and a precious snow-gauze lotus pellet, but he was still unable to kill the person who poisoned him. He Tang never thought that person would be so powerful. With just that bit of strength, he dared to sneak attack He Tang, broke his opponent's palm, took away his immortal sword, and even gave He Feng a rainy snow lotus pellet. Chen Xiang had already left the battlefield far away, and when he thought back to it now, he felt a lingering fear. That guy really does have some ability. He didn't die even like this, and he's still able to turn the tide. Chen Xiang hid in a deep ravine as he looked at He Feng's high-grade immortal sword. What kind of immortal pill is that rain-dew snow lotus pill? It's so powerful, it can cure poisons and even give birth to a palm. Chen Xiang asked after he wiped the consciousness in the immortal sword. A Tier 5 immortal pill, it's not strange that he has such a pill. It's best if you don't touch these princes and grandsons of Myriad Dan immortal country, they have a lot of high-grade immortal pills. Su Meiyao said. Long Shui observed the battlefield and helped Chen Xiang find a better target, but she quickly discovered that something was wrong. Many people from the 6th Prince know about the appearance of the black blood magic sunflower poison, and so does the eldest prince. They all know that you are not on their side. Although the black blood magic sunflower poison is not banned, if you use it at this time, it will definitely attract anger. Bai Yu said, back then when my sister Partik 1p aided in the Great War, it was also because she used poison that many of the great powers came into contact with her. Chen Xiang said disdainfully. This group of fellows, if they had a strong poison, they would definitely use it even more ruthlessly than me. They are just jealous of me because they don't have a strong poison. He was carefully hiding in the battlefield. After half a day, he shook his head and sighed. If I had the power of the immortal monarch, I might have already killed quite a few of them. Master would definitely reap a bountiful harvest. When we talk about this matter in the future, he would definitely look down on me. Up ahead, Long Shui shouted. When Chen Xiang saw a person falling from the sky, he immediately used his earth vine to trap the immortal sword with the person and dragged it to the ground to get to the person's side. He was currently hiding in the deep ravine, and no one had noticed him. Low-grade immortal sword? You actually dare to fight with such a thing? No wonder you were killed. Chen Xiang was a little dissatisfied and kept the immortal sword, then took out the person's heaven pellet. Many immortals had died, but most of them had been broken into pieces. It was rare to find a complete corpse like this, and he even had a complete sword in his hand. Someone from the Imperial Avian race is coming. It seems like he is here to look for the corpse. Long Shui's voice was a little agitated. You have to get rid of it, it's best if it's complete. Don't use poison, otherwise you won't be able to eat bird meat. The royal bird of the Imperial Avian race was not weak. Chen Xiang pondered for a moment, then said, What kind of strength does it have? I don't need poison to deal with it. The royal bird of the Imperial Avian race was not weak. Chen Xiang pondered for a moment, then said, What kind of strength does it have? I don't need poison to deal with it. Fine, we haven't reached the immortal monarch yet. As for the late period of human immortal, you can just take out the hammer of God. If no one comes to help, you can just get rid of him. Long Shui laughed. If that doesn't work, I'll help you in the dark again. After knowing the true strength of late period of human immortal, Chen Xiang was relieved. He immediately rushed out from a deep ravine and took out his hammer of God. The royal bird immediately noticed him, and immediately unleashed a palm towards his direction, releasing a burst of golden feathers. Those feathers were all golden arrows, densely packed like a storm, enveloping Chen Xiang. It's a small gold eagle. It's a big prophet. Long Shui was extremely excited. Quickly get rid of him. Chen Xiang was not afraid of the golden-feathered sword released by the small gold eagle, waving the hammer of God to open up a path. When approaching the small gold eagle, he raised his divine hammer, flew through space, and arrived beside the small gold eagle, then directly struck down. Even though this small gold eagle looked young and immature, it had a lot of battle experience. It turned its hand and released a golden long spear, fiercely thrusting towards Chen Xiang's chest. The divine hammer had already smashed down, and just as it was about to slam down, Chen Xiang had no choice but to evade the sudden spear attack. Although he had the protection of the profound wood diamond armor, if he got stabbed, he would definitely be seriously injured. Humans are actually not from the Imperial Dragon Clan, they are wasting their strength. Although Chen Xiang's attack just now was considered quite strong, it was nothing in his eyes. In his eyes, only the Imperial Dragon Clan's Emperor Dragon was worthy to be his opponent. Imperial Avian race is too arrogant, I really want to go out and teach him a lesson. Long Shui said angrily. I want to see if you can survive if you don't waste your strength. Chen Xiang smashed his hammer down once again. After knowing that his opponent had a spear, he would not fight face to face with him. You want to hurt me with this hammer? The small gold eagle's eyes slanted and waved the golden spear in its hands, sweeping it across. Although there was not a very violent fluctuation of energy, the power contained in the spear was extremely terrifying. Chen Xiang anxiously changed his direction of attack, striking the spear head. He ruthlessly smashed it, using the strongest dragon power, coupled with the power of earthquake. Bang! The hammer accurately smashed onto the spearhead, causing the golden spear to shake violently. The small gold eagle did not expect the hammer to be so powerful, it made it feel as if he was struck by a gigantic star. It hurts. Chen Xiang sneered, then extended his hand and grabbed the sharp spearhead, causing the small gold eagle to be stunned once again. At this time, his hand was indeed in extreme pain. He immediately grabbed the spear with his other hand, intending to pull it out of Chen Xiang's hand. He did not expect that the tip of his spear would be grabbed in such a way. He fiercely swung his spear, wanting to cut Chen Xiang's palm apart. However, Chen Xiang's palm seemed to be made of divine iron, dragging it backwards while holding onto it tightly. He did not dare to twitch at all. Idiot! Chen Xiang looked at the small gold eagle, and two red rays of light suddenly shot out from his eyes. After the red rays of light shot out, they became tens of large threads of light that penetrated the small gold eagle's body. Heart-piercing demon eye. The small gold eagle was shocked. He never thought that there would be such a powerful demon dweller on this battlefield that knew how to use this lost demonic technique. The small gold eagle had already let go of Chen Xiang's hand, because the blood vessels on his arm were pierced through by Chen Xiang's piercing heart demon eye. Don't let him transform. Long Shui shouted. Chen Xiang kept his spear and hammered the small gold eagle's head, using all of his power from the three killing techniques, Heaven Slaughter, Divine Slaughter, Unity. With the addition of the dragon power and the divine hammer's impact power, the hammer strike was extremely terrifying. The sky and earth suddenly changed color, the wind and clouds surged, and the earth trembled violently. Go to heaven. Chen Xiang never thought that after he entered the worldly immortal stage, he would be able to use all his strength. The great momentum he had created had already attracted the attention of many immortal kings and immortal monarchs. The divine hammer landed on the small gold eagle's head, but it did not hit it so hard that its brains were splattered everywhere. This was because when the divine hammer smashed onto the small gold eagle, the super pressure that surged out from the divine hammer had already crushed the small gold eagle's head into powder. Quickly put it into the ring. The small gold eagle after death will become very big, and when the time comes, the great golden rock king will be back. That's a fellow at the immortal king level. Long Shui anxiously shouted. Chen Xiang threw the headless body into a relatively size area of the ring, then quickly burrowed into a crevice nearby. Just as he left, an angry screech sounded out from within the immortal palace, shocking everyone to the point that their hearts trembled. The Golden Rock King was infuriated. Some people had already guessed that his son had died. Who is it? The Golden Rock King's angry roars shook the heaven and earth. It's you and me. At the place where he was fighting with the small gold eagle, a group of Immortal King-level rankers suddenly appeared. Among them, there were 2 bird kings from Imperial Feather Race, and the first and second princes were also present. "It's the dragon power, it seems to be the power of the Holy Dragon," the first prince said. "Imperial Dragon Clan, I'll fight it out with you." The Golden Rock King roared angrily and flew towards a place far away where the dragon power was thicker. After getting rid of 2 Immortal Monarch, he knew that Imperial Avian race had fallen. He cursed in his heart, Ned Brat, to think that he actually got himself a small gold eagle. "I really regret not being with him, he's really struck the jackpot." Because the small gold eagle had died, the Golden Rock King was furious. He killed a large group of the 6th Prince's Immortal Monarch S and killed 2 Immortal Monarch Emperor Dragons. He was currently fighting a great battle with a few Immortal Kings and a Dragon King. It's Fire Divine Palace's turn. If I don't get rid of a few of the Fire Divine Palaces, I won't be happy even if I get rid of the small gold eagle. Chen Xiang gritted his teeth and said, "Little naughty dragon, quickly help me find those fellows from Fire Divine Palace. No matter what methods you use, let them die, a few core members." "That's easy. They all have Fire Soul S and there's a huge difference between their fire auras and those without them. They really can't let the people from Fire Divine Palace off easy," Long Shui said. "If necessary, just use your magical corruption gas and drunk magical poison. It would be best if you can kill those at the Immortal King level when you use them," Bai Yu said coldly. Chen Xiang took a deep breath, swallowed a pill, and meditated in the depths of the crevice. He had indeed made a fortune by killing that small gold eagle, but he felt that it was still not enough. "I'll help you find those tired Immortal Fire King. It's easier to succeed in ambush. Plussing those guys," Long Shui said. Long Shui expanded his search for Immortal Kings in the Fire Divine Palace, but after searching for a while, he only found a few. There were not many Immortal Kings in the Fire Divine Palace, and Wen Qiqiongjin was one of them. The others were all stronger, and it was difficult to succeed in ambush plussing them. Long Shui expanded his search for Immortal Kings in the Fire Divine Palace, but after searching for a while, he only found a few. There were not many Immortal Kings in the Fire Divine Palace, and Wen Qiqiongjin was one of them. The others were all stronger, and it was difficult to succeed in ambush plussing them. These Fire Divine Palace people always avoid the Immortal Kings that are stronger than them. They still have a lot of energy left, so it seems like we can only wait," Long Shui said. "What about that old woman Wen Qiqiongjin? Even if I can't kill her, I have to make her suffer a little, or else I won't feel well. Last time, when Wen Qiqiongjin forced him to teach her alchemy, she made him very angry. Unless I join hands with you, it is possible for her to suffer a great loss with the super old poison. However, there are a few days of powerful Emperor Dragon Kings here. The moment my strength appears, they will discover me." Long Shui pondered for a moment, then continued, "When you join hands with me and use the super old poison, regardless of whether or not you can kill Wen Qiqiongjin or not, you have to leave this place as soon as possible. I am worried that something might happen that I did not expect." "No problem, I'll go find that old woman Wen Qiqiongjin right now." Chen Xiang immediately left the place and hid in the deep ravine. At the same time, the battle up there was getting more and more intense, all because of the death of the small gold eagle. The angered Golden Rock King started killing everywhere, causing many of the Immortal Monarch S and worldly immortals on the side of the 6th Prince to die. If not for the 2 Dragon Kings from the Imperial Dragon Clan being able to stall the Golden Rock King in time, more would have died. Chen Xiang was already thousands of meters away from Wen Qiqiongjin. Using the Heaven Tour, He could see clearly that Ji Cheongjin was fighting with a middle-aged man. This old lady specially found some weaker ones to fight with. Seems like she's also very afraid of death. I wonder which power she's from. Although she's an immortal king, her level is still too low. Chen Xiang said. The main reason is that this old lady's flames are too strong. Even if it's the immortal king, if her flames were to invade your body, the consequences would be very serious. As long as you stay in Heaven Realm for a period of time, you would know that you cannot touch her flames. Su Meiyao said, It's best that you don't go and try her kind of strange fire. Until now, has no one been able to figure out what kind of flame it is. Ji Cheongjin also knew how to refine pills, and she was also an immortal king in the Fire Divine Palace. It was natural for her flames to be strong, but no one knew what kind of flame she had. It feels like it's made from the fusion of the heavenly fire and demonic fire, so it can be used for alchemy. At the same time, it has an evil aura and the color is also purplish-red. Long Shui said. Chen Xiang observed Ji Cheongjin's battle. Her battlefield was considered more gentle, with not too much of a commotion. It was unlike the others who had fought until it seemed like the heavens were crumbling and the earth was cracking. Ji Cheongjin is really crafty. She purposely wasted time here with a not-so-strong immortal king. This way she won't meet any powerful immortal kings, and can easily pass through this big battle herself. Chen Xiang said. If it wasn't for that, this old woman would probably have died a long time ago. If she had met the crazy Golden Rock King on the main battlefield just now, she most likely would have been severely wounded. Bai Yu sneered. Back then, he was also like this, a guy who bullies the weak and fears the strong. Chen Xiang breathed in lightly and counted the drunk magical poison inside the storage magic treasure. After confirming the quant. 1. Tai, he said to Long Shui, Little naughty dragon, I'm going to make my move. I will lend you my power later. You should decide how to use it. Long Shui said. Chen Xiang observed Ji Cheongjin's battle and said, All right, lend me your power. In just a short moment, Chen Xiang felt an additional burst of power in his body, as though his body was going to explode. This was the power that Long Shui had lent him. He felt that although it was not Long Shui's full strength, it was extremely strong. He controlled this energy to fuse with his own, and then, he urged the power of the spatial laws. In an instant, he traversed 3,000 meters and arrived behind Ji Cheongjin. The man fighting Ji Cheongjin was shocked, but he thought that Chen Xiang was definitely on his side. Otherwise, he wouldn't have ambushed Ji Cheongjin. Ji Cheongjin immediately sensed someone from behind. She immediately turned around and unleashed a palm strike. The purple-red flame was like a poisonous snake, spitting out a snake's apricot tree as it bit towards Chen Xiang. The fire snake had pierced through Chen Xiang's body, but Ji Cheongjin immediately discovered that it was just an illusionary shadow. The real Chen Xiang had already flashed to Ji Cheongjin's side, his hand holding onto the Devil Emperor dagger. The monstrous demonic chi on the dagger startled Ji Cheongjin, but what surprised her the most was the devil-suppressing holy power, which was also exceptionally strong. Old woman. Chen Xiang clenched his teeth, and poured all of the condensed magical corruption gas into the Devil Emperor dagger. The Devil Emperor dagger flew out with the powerful energy that Chen Xiang poured into it. Like an arrow, it emitted a gold-red glow. Ji Cheongjin's body immediately erupted with a strong protective demon aura, wanting to block the Devil Emperor dagger, but the Devil Emperor dagger itself was a terrifying demon weapon, adding the extremely strong devil-suppressing holy power that had the ability to restrain demons. Although Chen Xiang's strength was weak, he still managed to pierce through Ji Cheongjin's protective demon aura, but he only managed to pierce half of it before stopping. So you were that weak. Ji Cheongjin saw that the dagger was blocked by her barrier and laughed coldly, but just as she finished speaking, the Devil Emperor dagger suddenly exploded, and another force hidden inside burst out, causing the colorless and tasteless magical corruption gas and drunk G.O.D. magical poison to float out. Her complexion was unsightly to the extreme, it was already turning slightly black. Although she had only taken in a little bit of magical corruption gas, it was enough to take her life. She never could have predicted that someone would use a super old poison on this kind of battlefield. Very quickly, she discovered that not only was there a super old poison, there was also a drunk G.O.D. magical poison. Someone could actually control two kinds of strange poison. It was too terrifying. "Hurry up and leave," shouted. Just now, Chun Xiang had used a lot of power in her attack on the dagger, and her white dragon power had already been revealed. Long Shui could already feel that some of the royal dragons were using their divine powers to investigate this side. D.A.M. Ned, old woman, today is your last day. Just as Chun Xiang wanted to attack, he heard Ji Cheongjin's sharp shout. Super old poison. Ji Cheongjin exhausted all his strength and roared, causing many immortal kings to quickly rush over. Chun Xiang waved his hand and called back the Devil Emperor dagger. He ran as fast as he could and jumped into a huge crevice, leaving this place far behind. Following Ji Cheongjin's shout, everyone stopped. The words, super old poison, held a lot of power, and the despair that Ji Cheongjin's voice contained just now also made people's hair stand on end. The immortal king present more or less knew that this old woman was hard to deal with, and for her to do this, it was only super old poison. Following Ji Cheongjin's shout, everyone stopped. The words, super old poison, held a lot of power, and the despair that Ji Cheongjin's voice contained just now also made people's hair stand on end. The immortal king present more or less knew that this old woman was hard to deal with, and for her to do this, it was only super old poison. Previously, Bai Ziqian was listed on the bounty because of the use of the super old poison. When the devil-suppressing divine palace came here to kill her, she had already lost to one of the demon-suppressing immortal kings, so these people knew that now that Ji Cheongjin had been tricked, everyone immediately suspected that the Devil Scorpion Princess was here causing trouble. More than 30 immortal kings were standing far away from Ji Cheongjin. Ji Cheongjin's face was currently purple and black as she laid weakly on the ground. She was only able to use the energy in her body to barely defend herself from the poison. It really is a super old poison, and it's even a rather strong one. There are quite a few of them by her side. The first prince's face was solemn. He took out a jade box, took out a handful of crystal powder and sprinkled it towards Ji Cheongjin. When the powder floated past, it immediately became purple-black and light pink. Looking at the light pink powder, the first prince's body trembled. There's actually a drunk G.O.D. magical poison S. These are two strange poisons. Did Devil Scorpion Princess get another one? It's not that SLUT. The one that attacked me wasn't strong, but he used a very powerful demon weapon and even knew how to suppress the demon's power. After breaking through my defense, he released poison gas to ambush me. Ji Cheongjin said fiercely. The Golden Rock King coldly snorted and said, "Are you still fighting? My son has already died here. Today we must get to a conclusion." His eyes blazed as he looked at Imperial Dragon Clan and the group of people. A few dragons from our Imperial Dragon Clan also died. Your Imperial Feather race won't be able to get away with it today. An old man from the Imperial Dragon Clan said angrily. The sixth prince's expression turned cold as he took out a pill and threw it towards Wang Cheongjin. Eat it, and you can temporarily suppress the poison. Today we will definitely get a result of this, and I also want to uncover the person who is causing trouble here. Someone was causing trouble here, and it was a guy with a lot of tricks despite not being very strong. Father, you are right. Someone ambushed me earlier, using a black blood magic sunflower, and even stealing my celestial sword. He Feng said angrily. Everyone was familiar with the black blood magic sunflower, because the incident of the Heavenly Bull Immortal Palace's Jade Rabbit being robbed had caused the appearance of the black blood magic sunflower. This person is definitely an expert poison user. My strength should be below the Immortal Monarch's, but I was able to release a sneak attack and sneak attack. He Feng said again, and then looked around at his surroundings. One of the Immortal Kings also said, I found a lot of dead bodies, but none of the heavenly pills, storage magic treasure, or weapons could be seen. One time I saw a figure very quickly pass by the two corpses and skillfully atch all these things. When this person ambushed us, he killed 2 birds with 1 stone. From the distant Chen Xiang, after hearing all this from him, he immediately guessed that it was Huang Jintian who did it, and he did not have that kind of ability. Huang Jintian, who was hiding nearby, scolded in his heart. This little brat Chen Xiang actually used super old poison and 2 of them. This little bastard, even if you have this kind of good stuff, you still won't give it to me. Chen Xiang left the 20th palace and returned to the main palace. It's still quiet here. Right, they will probably fight for a while more. If I take this opportunity and enter the main palace to loot, it might go smoothly. Chen Xiang's eyes lit up. A few powerful princes would be bringing a large group of experts to fight in the 20 immortal palaces. The defense here would definitely be much weaker. Let's go to the 6th shop first. Chen Xiang made up his mind that he would definitely go to the palace to take a look. Arriving at the 6th store, Long Shui immediately investigated the hidden rankers. He discovered that there were only 2 immortal monarchs inside, but there were more than 10 in the past. Chen Xiang came to a place with no one around, changed into the appearance of He Feng, and then entered the 6th shop. When he entered, he was still holding He Feng's immortal sword, so when Manager Ma saw it, he did not doubt it at all. Eldest young master, weren't you over there? Why are you back? When Manager Ma saw that this He Feng had a head full of messy hair, he knew that it must have been a huge battle. Quick, bring all the high-level pellets here. There's an urgent need to heal the wounds and restore the innate qi. Chen Xiang said. His transformation technique was extremely mystical, being able to change into an qi that was similar to He Feng's. His voice was also the same. Seeing how anxious Chen Xiang's voice was, Manager Ma immediately ordered people to gather the high-rank pellets from the underground alchemy palace. Now that I only have these, I don't know if it's enough. Manager Ma gave Chen Xiang a bottle of Hunyuan Dan with more than 500 pills inside, as well as a bottle of restoration pills for healing purposes with more than 300 pills. Enough. Chen Xiang knew that he shouldn't be too greedy, otherwise he would be seen through. Just you wait, I'll be the first prince soon. After Chen Xiang finished speaking, he left quickly. Manager Ma let out a sigh of relief. This immortal sword is really good stuff. I'll sell it off after a while. Chuckled in his heart. He was very satisfied that he managed to deceive so many heaven-level pills. Chen Xiang continued to act like this He Feng, and sprinted all the way to the palace entrance. The palace was located right in the middle of this main palace, surrounded by a very tall giant wall. Usually, it would be extremely difficult to enter, but now that Chen Xiang had entered it with his appearance, it was like he was strolling in the street. Let's go to the place where they grow the herbs. Su Meiyao laughed. Take everything that you can take. Chen Xiang was excited and wished that he could run over immediately. However, that would be too suspicious. He only walked around quickly, and the problem right now was that he did not know where the medicine garden was. This palace is too big. It wouldn't be easy to loot it. Chen Xiang sighed helplessly. He was going to use the heaven tour with Long Shui right now to look for the place where the medicinal herbs were grown. Long Shui was more familiar with this place, so she quickly got an idea. The last time you were concocting pills in here, you should have been in the sixth prince's territory, so you should go in first. Long Shui said. Under Long Shui's guidance, Chen Xiang entered the huge villa. The ones in charge of guarding the gates were the two immortal monarchs, and they did not suspect him in the slightest. Because Chen Xiang had pretended to be in a hurry to enter and it was currently the middle of a huge battle, this seemed to be natural in the eyes of many. Of course, it was mainly because Chen Xiang could imitate the qi unique to He Feng's body, so no one would doubt him. This sixth prince is amazing. There are even a few immortal kings hidden in there. You should be careful, Kiki. Long Shui said. There are still a few immortal kings. It's quite troublesome. I wonder if there are any immortal kings at the place where the medicinal herbs are planted. Chen Xiang was worried that he wouldn't be able to hide from the immortal kings. The herbs in the 60,000 shops were all of low-grade heaven level S, which meant the Hunyuan Dan could be obtained just by having them, and the things that were grown in the sixth prince's residence were definitely good stuff that might even have immortal grade S. The herbs in the 60,000 shops were all of low-grade heaven level S, which meant the Hunyuan Dan could be obtained just by having them, and the things that were grown in the sixth prince's residence were definitely good stuff that might even have immortal grade S. I found it. It's a valley, but there are two immortal kings inside. Long Shui said, but Chen Xiang hesitated. There were two immortal kings in that place. If they were to be seen, he would be in deep trouble. Shui, take a look and see if there are any precious herbs. If there's anything worth taking risks with, go and try. Anyway, this little scoundrel didn't escape from the immortal king's hands once or twice. Su Meiyao said. Although Chen Xiang had escaped from the immortal king a few times, he would still feel pressured if he went there now. However, if it was like what Su Meiyao had said, taking a risk once was not a problem with the immortal-grade medicinal herbs that were worth taking risks. Send what you saw into my mind, let me see what's inside. Su Meiyao said as he walked toward the valley. After a while, Su Meiyao exclaimed, Myriad Dan Immortal Country is indeed powerful, to actually have such a thing. Hearing Su Meiyao's words, Chen Xiang was sure that he had to enter that valley. What's that? Chen Xiang asked anxiously. The Tianshan Holy Fruit Tree has already formed a Tianshan Holy Fruit above. That is the Holy Level's medicinal herb. Su Meiyao said excitedly. One of the main ingredients to concoct that pill. In order for Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu to recover their strength, they had to eat that type of holy pellet. The main ingredients required were all holy level S, and there were already jade dragon flower, blood ginseng, and holy lotus seeds. Chen Xiang did not know how much more he would need, but if he could get it now, he would definitely try his best to get a hold of it. There are still some immortal fruits inside, but they are far worse than the Tianshan Holy Fruit. After you enter, your main target will be the Tianshan Holy Fruit, so don't worry about anything else to prevent yourself from being suspected. Su Meiyao warned. The one guarding the door was a immortal monarch. He didn't ask much and let Chen Xiang in. The eldest son of the sixth prince, He Feng, who had once annihilated a demon palace, was a very respectable person in the eyes of many immortal monarchs. If the sixth prince could become the new king, then He Feng might become the future king. Chen Xiang enjoyed this feeling a lot, but his main goal was the Tianshan Holy Fruit. In the future, when he becomes a very powerful alchemist, even the immortal country king would have to be respectful to him. Little Feng, aren't we fighting in the 20th palace right now? Why are you back? An old man with a long white beard slowly floated in front of Chen Xiang, and at this moment, Chen Xiang saw that the valley was filled with many precious herbs that made people drool. It was as if Long Shui had ran out and eaten everything. You said you were poisoned, and you wanted the Tianshan holy fruit to detoxify it. This kind of fruit is indeed useful for detoxifying poisons, especially the super old poison. Su Meiyao said. Chen Xiang sighed. I've been infected with the super old poison. Right now I'm only using the power in my body to suppress the spread of the poison. Hearing the magical corruption gas, the old man immediately retreated a few steps. This was something many people would do. He frowned and said, I want to look at your blood. At this time, another immortal king appeared. It was a very short old man, and he said, If the poison is too deep, we can only use Tianshan holy fruit. Let's first see your blood, and see to what extent you can suppress the spread of the poison. To Chen Xiang, this was nothing at all. He took out a jade bowl, then took out He Feng's immortal sword, cut open his finger and squeezed out a few drops of purplish-black poisonous blood. If not for the fact that your own innate qi was powerful enough to suppress this strange poison, I'm afraid that you would have died a long time ago. The short elder sighed with a look of reluctance on his face. However, he still flew towards the snow jade-like tree. There was a silver-white fruit on it, and it looked like it was only the size of an egg. I never thought that a magical corruption gas would appear. We had already heard that people from the devil-suppressing divine palace were chasing after the devil scorpion princess, and they were even chasing after him at 20 palaces. We never thought that she would actually use poison on you. The long-bearded old man said. Who asked me to destroy a demon palace last time? Maybe the devil scorpion princess has a grudge against me, and he doesn't want me to die too quickly. She's very strong, and it's a sneak attack as well. I can't guard against it. Chen Xiang said while pretending to be angry. Wait until your father calls her king. When that happens, you have to place a bounty on her. The long-bearded old man patted Chen Xiang's shoulder. The short elder took the Tianshan holy fruit and gave it to Chen Xiang. When Chen Xiang received it, he was extremely excited, and he tried his best to control his emotions to calm down. I will return now and go into seclusion to refine this holy fruit. By the time I come out, my royal father should have already become the new king. After Chen Xiang finished speaking, he kept the holy fruit and bowed to the two elders. He did not dare say anything else as he was worried that he would become a spy. Chen Xiang walked out of the valley and almost sprinted towards the palace's gate. Although he had obtained the Tianshan holy fruit, he was still in the palace. Quickly, those two old fellows took out the jade talismans and sent a message. I wonder who they were sending a message to. If it was the sixth prince, you would definitely have been discovered. Long Shui suddenly urged Chen Xiang to speed up. Chen Xiang had already arrived at the gate, but he saw the two immortal monarchs at the gate take out trembling jade talismans. Chen Xiang immediately ran out of the door, and the two immortal monarchs did not stop him, because they did not see the information inside the jade token. However, when they saw it, their expressions became ugly, and he immediately looked outside the door, where Chen Xiang had long disappeared. Haha, it's here. This group of idiots were fighting to the death in the 20 palaces, yet their own lair was raided by me. Chen Xiang laughed in his heart. At that moment he had already reached the exit, but just as he was about to exit, the door suddenly closed. The use of transmission array is also prohibited. Chen Xiang looked in the direction of the transmission array, and saw many people complaining. That's for sure. The matter of losing the holy level's medicinal ingredients is extremely serious, so this kind of action is normal. Su Meiyao laughed tenderly. It's fine to stay here for a few more days since they can't find you. If I'm lucky, I might be able to see He Feng's FLU's tiered look. Did not know what the battle situation was like right now, nor did he want to understand. What he cared more about was the outcome, and to see who would become the new king of the Myriad Dan immortal country in the end. I wonder how teacher is doing. This old lunatic is so strong. He must have gotten quite a bit of benefits. From the window of Chen Xiang's hotel room, he could see the door of the number 6 shop in the distance. At this moment, the main street had already been sealed and the shop's big doors were also tightly shut. Chen Xiang was lying on his bed when he suddenly heard loud yelling. He opened his eyes and looked out the window. It was already late at night, but it was so lively outside, he immediately guessed that the battle was over and there was already a conclusion. Chen Xiang was lying on his bed when he suddenly heard loud yelling. He opened his eyes and looked out the window. It was already late at night, but it was so lively outside, he immediately guessed that the battle was over and there was already a conclusion. Sure enough, shouts came from outside. It was all from the direction of the 6th shop, and Chen Xiang knew that the 6th prince had obtained victory right away. If the 6th prince is pretty powerful, he could successfully ascend the throne against 6 others. The princes who lost can no longer stay in the main palace, they can only stay in some of the nearby immortal palaces. Su Meiyao said. Even if he won, he still stirred up a lot of hatred. At least the Golden Rock King of Imperial Avian race would hate him. Chuckled, he had not touched the small gold eagle's corpse yet, so now was not the right time, and this place was not suitable either. Actually, you're also a big winner. Su Meiyao laughed. Chen Xiang swindled the 6th prince's Tianshan holy fruit away, and obtained He Feng's immortal sword. He killed a small gold eagle and indeed, his harvest was plentiful. Right now, he really wanted to leave this main palace, but the matter of the Tianshan holy fruit being swindled away had caused this place to be sealed. There should be a lot of people leaving the main palace right now. For example, those big powers that have come to partic. 1p8 in the battle. If the blockade is too long, then the 6th prince will just become the new king, which will arouse many people's disgust. Su Meiyao said. After Chen Xiang obtained the Tianshan holy fruit and a small gold eagle, he wanted to quickly find a safe place to look around. Only by leaving this 10,000 pills palace would it be safe. In a magnificent palace, many immortal king-level experts were gathered here. Even though they had obtained the final victory, they were not very happy because they had suffered heavy losses. Ji Qiangjin's face turned ugly. She could be said to have taken back her life, but she was unable to use all of her strength in this short period of time. It was already not bad that she could still walk. The faces of the Imperial Dragon Clan's Dragon Kings were heavy. Out of the few little Emperor Dragon that they had brought with them, a few had died, and 2 of them were unknown. The 6th prince's brows were knitted tightly as he listened to the reports from the 2 immortal kings protecting the medicinal garden in the valley. Everyone was also carefully listening to the 2 immortal kings' narration of the Tianshan holy fruit being swindled away. He Feng's expression was the ugliest, because that person was pretending to be him. Not only did that person swindle the Tianshan holy fruit away, he even swindled some heaven-level pills from the 6th shop. Who exactly is this person? What we can be sure of is that this person is the one who used the magical corruption gas, ambushed Fonger, and used poison to attack Hall Master Wang, an old man said. This guy isn't very strong, he might just have entered the immortal monarch, but he has countless of tricks up his sleeve, and is also very cunning. He Feng said angrily, we must find this guy. The Imperial Dragon Clan Dragon Kings gave a similar look. One of the middle-aged men said, I think this guy might not be human. It was a dragon, a white dragon that had not appeared in our Imperial Dragon Clan for many years. At that time, we could sense a very weak white dragon aura. Furthermore, what he is using is not the appearance-changing technique, but the sacred art, the transformation technique from our Imperial Dragon Clan. This kind of high-level cultivation technique is not something that just anyone can learn. For example, we cannot master it. The experts here more or less knew about the affairs of the Imperial Dragon Clan. It is said that the White Dragon is extinct in your Imperial Dragon Clan, and only existed in the Primal Era. That means this white dragon should be considered to be from your Imperial Dragon clan. An immortal king of Fire Divine Palace said. Back then, the White Dragon clan was expelled by the Imperial Dragon clan. The White Dragon clan was not willing to accept this and went back to Imperial Dragon clan to fight. A huge battle broke out. At that time, all the old dragons in the Imperial Dragon clan were dispatched, and all the white dragons were annihilated. When the Dragon King said this, everyone understood that if Bai Long was still alive, then he would definitely be filled with hatred and would be opposing the Imperial Dragon clan. Ji Cheongjin said in a cold voice, but the fellow who attacked me, he grasped an extremely strong power to suppress devils as well as the power of devils. Of course there are dragon powers as well, so how can you explain this? The Dragon King sighed. That's even more certain, that's the White Dragon. What's amazing about the White Dragon is that they can cultivate many types of powers without conflict. The White Dragon is like a huge piece of white paper that can be painted with all kinds of colors. The sixth prince realized that although this unknown enemy was weak, it was very difficult to deal with. If that's the case, I'm afraid there's no need to seal off the entire Immortal Palace, we simply can't find him. The White Dragon possesses a lot of memories and inheritances, and one of the ancestral dragons has a white dragon, but it's actually quite strong. Because the White Dragon can control a lot of different types of powers, the White Dragon possesses a lot of different kinds of techniques and methods, not to mention capturing it, it would be hard to find it even if you wanted to. The Dragon King said. At this moment, the faces of these royals were grave. Everyone could guess that they were worried that the White Dragon would grow, and then seek revenge. Long Shui was indeed very powerful, growing up very quickly. She had mastered many abilities, and her origins were also very mysterious. At this moment, she was humming a song, fantasizing about eating bird meat. The blockade has been lifted. At daybreak, Chen Xiang heard someone shouting outside the window. Hurry up and go eat the bird meat. I can't wait any longer and will come back after eating. The new king's position will definitely be very lively. The corpse of the small gold eagle was frozen inside the ring, but she did not move, because she did not know how to bake. Even if she wanted to, it would not be as delicious as Chen Xiang's bake. She was worried that it would be wasted. Chen Xiang also wanted to quickly try it, so he immediately left the hotel and walked towards the transmission array. On the way, he heard many people talking about things that he was more concerned about, such as how people used magical corruption gases during the Great Battle, causing Ji Cheongjin to be half dead. However, no one knew who used magical corruption gases. Devil-suppressing Divine Palace paid more attention to this matter. He immediately posted their bounty with a high bounty-related clues. At this time, Chen Xiang had become a young man with a common face. Pas. Sing by the Myriad Dan building. He unintentionally raised his head to look at the third floor and thought about the mysterious Elder Uncle Li. What made him surprised was, he saw the Elder Uncle Li standing next to a window on the third floor. Elder Uncle Li had a smile on his face, as if he was looking at him. This old guy is very secretive. It seems like he saw through my transformation technique and even discovered me. Chen Xiang felt a burst of fear, then anxiously walked toward the transmission array. He doesn't seem to have any ill intentions. Let's have a private chat and see what his background is. Long Shui said. Chen Xiang stood in front of the transmission array and asked Long Shui where they should go. Let's go to the Flying Snow Palace. It's quieter there, and it's snowing all year round, so it's very suitable for eating barbecue. Su Meiyao chuckled. When the time comes, we can find a safe ice valley and eat together with you. Really? Chen Xiang was overjoyed. Then, he told the manager of the transmission array that he would be teleported to the Flying Snow Palace. There was only one person here who wanted to go to this palace, so the price was very expensive. Really? Chen Xiang was overjoyed. Then, He told the manager of the transmission array that he would be teleported to the flying snow palace. There was only one person here who wanted to go to this palace, so the price was very expensive. Chen Xiang left the busy city and headed towards the desolate plains of the palace. He traveled through a large group of tall and big snow mountains and ran wildly as he pleased. At the bottom of the ravine was a pond, and right now, Chen Xiang was at the edge of the pond. A fire was rising, and he was currently roasting the golden rock meat. Long Shui had already run out of the ring. She was originally wearing a snow-white dress, but she had already taken it off and changed into a light one. She rolled up her sleeves and held the roasted meat in her hands. It was rare for Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu to come out, although Chen Xiang could always chat with the two girls. He rarely saw them. At this time, seeing this pair of beautiful and delicate women wearing luxurious clothes appeared made him a little dazed. Bai Yuyu appeared to be extremely cautious, holding onto a plate that was filled with meat that Chen Xiang had cut up. She placed it in her mouth as she watched her surroundings, but Su Meiyao had a charming smile on her face as she ate, while looking at Chen Xiang with her mesmerizing eyes, and chattering continuously with him, occasionally teasing him with her charming eyes. That small gold eagle is not small, it's enough for us to eat for a while. Right now we are only eating the flesh of a big wing. Long Shui's mouth was full of meat, and a little bit of meat juice was stuck on his mouth and face, making both Chen Xiang and Su Meiyao laugh. Bai Yuyu and Su Meiyao sat beside Chen Xiang. In the beginning, it was Chen Xiang who sliced their flesh, but at the end, it was them who helped Chen Xiang and Long Shui to enjoy the Golden Rock feast. Sister Yu, you still have gravy on your mouth? Quickly let this little scoundrel lick it for you. Don't waste it. When Long Shui saw it, he giggled. Chen Xiang really wanted to go over and kiss Bai Yuyu's small mouth that was covered in meat juice, but he didn't dare. Bai Yuyu licked her lips, rolled her eyes and said softly, "No need. Senior sister, I never thought that we would be able to eat golden rock meat in our lifetime. Back then, Master always brought this matter up on his lip." Su Meiyao laughed. The golden rock meat is really good, but it's missing something. Bai Yuyu faintly smiled, and then looked towards Chen Xiang. Something's missing. Chen Xiang frowned and asked. There's less to drink. Long Shui called out, then took out a jug of wine, and poured out a few cups of water that emitted a sweet fragrance. Chen Xiang didn't know where she got this water from, but after drinking it for a while, he still wanted to drink it again, but this little dragon treated it like a treasure, and only gave him half a cup. It should be about now. I should go to the Myriad Dan immortal country to take a look. The new king's position is very lively. Su Meiyao said. Bai Yuyu and Su Meiyao's eyes were filled with reluctance. To be able to return to the heaven realm from their new life, and to eat and chat while reminiscing about the past, had made them extremely happy in their hearts, but they were soon going to return to the ring. Right now they were looking forward to such a simple life, and it was the easiest for many people. Chen Xiang flew out of the ravine, and madly ran amidst the flying snowflakes, filled with worry. He really wanted Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu to walk out of the ring without being worried at all. There will be a day, Chen Xiang told himself. The main immortal palace of the Myriad Dan immortal country was currently gathered with people from all over the place, and the majority of them were alchemists. As the new king, most of the activities would be in favor of the alchemist, and in the eyes of many of the alchemists, this was also a gathering of the alchemist. Once Chen Xiang returned, he immediately went to the Myriad Dan building. Here, he would quickly learn some good things about the alchemist. As expected, the elder Uncle Li was here. Chen Xiang had also changed his appearance, but when he arrived, the elder Uncle Li opened his eyes slightly, looked at him for a bit and then closed his eyes. There were only a few idle people who surrounded elder Uncle Li's pill refining stalls. This was because elder Uncle Li's pill refining skills were extremely brilliant. Those who were watching him wanted to learn something from him, or comprehend something. Elder Uncle Li, Can you help me refine a batch of pills? Chen Xiang immediately asked as soon as he arrived at the side. Everyone looked at him strangely, because asking others to help him concoct pills was extremely rude. Sure. The people from Elder Uncle Li were also surprised. Chen Xiang smiled faintly as he took out a portion of Relive Dan's medicinal ingredients and said it over. Elder Uncle Li himself took out a few supplementary medicinal ingredients and threw them into the furnace. Elder Uncle Li refining the Relive Dan was also very fast, everyone knew that. Not long after Chen Xiang opened the furnace, Elder Uncle Li only had one Relive Dan. When Chen Xiang received the Relive Dan, he felt something inside, and turned around to leave after receiving it. He originally wanted to use his divine sense to talk to the Elder Uncle Li, but the Elder Uncle Li did not respond to him. No wonder he was only able to cultivate one pellet. The peak level of a Elder Uncle Li should be 3. One of them said as he watched Chen Xiang leave. Chen Xiang brought the Relive Dan to the first floor. He was not in a hurry to see what was inside, because he heard about the palace selection compet. 1. Tian as well as the pill refining compet. 1 Tian. What was worth noting was that this pill refining compet. 1 Tian was not as simple as just a compet. 1 Tian, but also a challenge from the myriad Dan immortal country to the fused sacred Dan realm. When the time comes, the compet. 1 Tian would be split into 3 parts, one representing the sacred Dan realm, the other representing the myriad Dan immortal country, and then there would be an individual or a representative representing their own forces partic. 1p aiding. If it's a challenge to the sacred Dan realm, the rewards will definitely be very rich. I wonder what the rewards will be like. Chen Xiang was very much looking forward to this. He planned to join in the fun. I might even meet someone I know. Chen Xiang walked out of the Myriad Dan building, and then, he crushed the Relive Dan Elder Uncle Li had refined for him. He saw that there was actually a small slip of paper hidden inside. Late at night. Wuxi Mountain. There were only these few words on it. Chen Xiang didn't know where the 5-Snake Mountain was, but after asking around, he knew that it was not too far away from the main palace's center, and there was a mountain there that looked like 5 snakes coiling together. Chen Xiang didn't know where the 5-Snake Mountain was, but after asking around, he knew that it was not too far away from the main palace's center, and there was a mountain there that looked like 5 snakes coiling together. It was only dark now, but Chen Xiang had already arrived at 5-Snake Mountain, waiting for the Elder Uncle Li to arrive. Before he came, he had already asked about the Elder Uncle Li and only knew that the Elder Uncle Li had suddenly appeared, without any background and without any strength, but his pill refining skills were extremely brilliant. Even though he was just staying at the 3rd floor to help the people concoct the ground-level pills, many people thought that he was a Dan immortal. He had been in that Myriad Dan building for more than 10 years, and during this period of time, many great powers had tried to rope him in, but none of them succeeded. Late at night, the silver moonlight shone down onto the 5-Snake Mountain's summit. Chen Xiang was lying on a flat rock, bathing in the moonlight as he admired the dazzling stars in the sky. The stars here were exactly the same as the one he saw when he was at Di Tian's place. Dragon Subduing School, I'm guessing you're very early. These words caused Chen Xiang to jump in fright, but at the same time, caused him to become cautious. You know me. Chen Xiang's face was filled with caution as his entire body tensed up as if he was about to face a great enemy. If I had any ill intentions towards you, I would not have arranged to meet you here. However, we should be considered to be on the same side, and my disciple is living a good life in your dragon subduing school. The Elder Uncle Li laughed. Chen Xiang was startled, then exclaimed, You are Li Tianjun. Back then, when he was still in mortal martial realm, S name was very resounding, and Li Baojun was his disciple. However, later on, he heard that Li Tianjun lost to an old granny, and had nothing left to lose. How did you recognize me? I managed to deceive many powerful people. Chen Xiang was still wary. I don't know what that feeling is, but it's because of the experience I gained from refining pills. As long as you get near, I will feel that wonderful feeling, and it's hard to say for sure. I heard my disciple talk about you, so I guessed that it was very possible that it was you. When Li Tianjun mentioned this matter, his face was also at a loss. He himself did not know what was going on. Maybe it's because the alchemy Dao you walked in was different from mine, but your goal is the same, so I have this feeling. When did the elder Li tell you about me? Qin Xiang asked. Are you still able to contact him? The information here is very difficult to transmit. At that time, he had mentioned to me about your unique method of refining pills, so the last time you were refining the Relive Dan, I already knew that it was you. What method? Li Tianjun said. Now that Chen Xiang saw his old appearance, of course it was not his original appearance. I'm just curious as to why you are not staying in the palace at all. Weren't you staying in the 6th shop very well in the beginning, then why did you come out again? I even heard that you came from the devil-killing summit. Li Tianjun asked curiously. That 6th prince is not a good person, so I ran away. Chen Xiang sighed. Now that he is the king, I have to be more careful. Li Tianjun obviously did not know about the other things he had done here. Senior Li, why are you here as well? I heard that you lost to a fellow called by Xia Dan Immortal. Chen Xiang asked, not afraid of the pain of stabbing Li Tianjun, because Li Baojun had said that he, his master, was very easy to get along with. Li Tianjun shook his head and laughed. There's nothing I can do, I'm also a human. There will always be a time when I lose. I have to say that Bai Xiaodan Immortal is really powerful. I was too arrogant back then, but it was a good thing for me. I grew up a lot. It's good to meet someone I know here, even though it's our first time meeting. Li Tianjun patted Chen Xiang's shoulder and laughed. Senior Li, to be honest, I have to thank you. Although I've never met you before, the medicinal fields you left behind are of great help to me. Chen Xiang said with a solemn face. You're welcome. The things I left behind are useless to me. Li Tianjun looked at the busy city in the distance. It's just that I never thought that a guy like you would actually have such great abilities and walk a different path. I can teach you that pill refining technique. Chen Xiang immediately said. There's no need. I also want to try and see if I can break through that rigid rule and walk my own path. That will give me a bit more of a sense of accomplishment. Li Tianjun smiled in relief. This made Chen Xiang admire him even more. Before long, Bai Xia Dan Immortal will come here. At that time, we might be able to fight against her again. Li Tianjun sighed softly. Oh, could it be that this is a compet? 1. Tie-in organized by the new king? When the time comes, I will also be partic. 1p aiding. Qin Xiang said, I'm going to take the prize. This new king shouldn't be too stingy. Li Tianjun laughed. Peiqing has always been generous with his rewards. The prizes will definitely be good stuff, but at that time, the ones who can last until the end will all be at Dan Immortal's level, and the specifics will depend on the compet. 1. Tie-in rules. Isn't this compet? 1. Tie-in supposed to be a show of power for all alchemists? Qin Xiang frowned. That's true, but anyone can partic. 1p8. When the time comes, all the alchemists will be allowed to partic. 1p8, but the pill refining level of the Dan Immortal will definitely be much higher than the other alchemists. In the layers of the compet. 1. Tie-in, I'm afraid only the alchemist would be able to stand out. Li Tianjun said, but if it's you, then maybe you can break out of this situation. Furthermore, this Li Tianjun would also want to partic. 1p8. Although he had used the heavenly alchemy to walk on a different path of Pill Dao, he was still too young. It can be said that it's a contest between Alchemist S and Alchemist S of the entire Myriad Dan Immortal country. However, at that time, I won't be able to represent Myriad Dan Immortal Country, and would be able to defeat both Sacred Dan Realm S in one fell swoop. That would be more interesting. Li Tianjun smiled, his eyes full of ambition as he looked into the distance. Chen Xiang slightly clenched his fists and laughed. If I could defeat a large group of Dan Immortal, it would be even more interesting. Li Tianjun looked at Chen Xiang and laughed. I look forward to it. But come to think of it, you don't need to take first place. As long as you can make it to the last place, it will be enough to slap those Dan Immortals' face. But you have to be careful, don't expose your ident. One Tai. Li Tianjuan's face became serious. He did not have any good impressions of this Dragon Emperor, and it could be said that he had a lot of hatred towards him. If the Dragon Emperor knew the true cause of his own son's death, then Chen Xiang would not be at ease right now. He did not have any good impressions of this Dragon Emperor, and it could be said that he had a lot of hatred towards him. If the Dragon Emperor knew the true cause of his own son's death, then Chen Xiang would not be at ease right now. What does a fellow like the Dragon Emperor want to do here? Isn't that too disrespectful? Chen Xiang obviously did not wish for such a powerful rancor to come here. At that time, he would also be partic. 1p aiding. I am only guessing, but this compet 1. Tian is not a joke. It is very meaningful for Sacred Dan Realm and Myriad Dan Immortal Country, or the entire Heaven Realm. Li Tianjun said. It's going to start in a few days. Go and prepare. Li Tianjun patted Chen Xiang's shoulder. A few more days. Chen Xiang did not expect it to be so fast. He felt that there was at least another month left. If it was so quick, then many people would not have had the time to prepare. This match was originally not held for a lot of people. Li Tianjun laughed, then leaped down from the mountain peak and flew into the distance, disappearing into the night sky. Chen Xiang stared at his disappearing figure in a daze. Only a few days had passed said, and he didn't know if he would be able to achieve an outstanding result in this kind of compet. 1 Tian. Even a powerful Dan Immortal like Li Tianjun had come to partic. 1. P8, and at that time there would be even a Baixia Dan Immortal like him. For such a large-scale compet. 1. Tian, we would not fight to refine Immortal Pellet. Usually, we would fight in private because that would require a lot of time. At most, it would be a high-grade heaven-level pellet, but it is too late for you, not to mention a high-grade heaven level. Even a middle-grade heaven level would be difficult for you. Su Meiyao said. I hope the rules will be a bit more fair to alchemists of my level. Of course, Chen Xiang wouldn't place his hopes on the rules. In the next few days, he first went to register, and then concocted a batch of relived Dan S on the spot to gain the right to partic. 1p8. The last time he turned into Hefeng, he went to the 6th shop and swindled a bottle of low-grade heaven-level healing pellet. This kind of pellet was sold for more than Hunyuan Dan, and the healing effect was many times better than relived Dan's. Moreover, the refining difficulty was higher, and the materials were not easy to grow. Thus, when Chen Xiang bought the ingredients for the origin-restoring pellet, he felt pained. Fortunately, we only have one set of main medicinal ingredient. If we use the God purification, we can consider it as having completed half of the mission as long as we settle this Baiyuan fruit. This is yet another new challenge. Chen Xiang rented a pill refining room. It was the first prince's property, and although seizing the throne failed, their business here would not be affected. Aren't you going to refine that sacred animal Dan first? Long Shui asked softly. Chen Xiang already had the sacred animal fruit, but he had never refined it. Don't worry, the difficulty in refining this sacred animal Dan is not high. If I can concoct this Yuan Dan, the sacred animal fruit would not be too difficult. Chen Xiang removed some of the impurities from the Baiyuan fruit and placed them on his palm, releasing the 5 elements heavenly fire. His current flames were much stronger than before, and he could even release the rainbow heaven flame. However, that would consume a lot of energy, and even with 5 elements heavenly fire, the consumption rate of his innate chi was extremely fast. Looks like the 5 elements heavenly fire are not that useful either. I'll have to use the heaven flames. Chen Xiang fused the 5 elements of a 5 elements heavenly fire together. The spirit of the Baiyuan fruit had to have a strong mental attack and strong flames in order to make it submit and then refine it bit by bit. Although the heaven flames of the heaven and earth were powerful, they consumed a lot of energy. After using it for 3 to 4 hours in a row, most of his innate chi was exhausted, so right now he could only use the heaven flames and the 5 elements heavenly fire back and forth. I still can't do it. It seems that the medicinal spirits of every single medicinal herb are very different. Chen Xiang sighed in his heart. The Baiyuan fruit on his palm had already been burnt to a red iron state. The Hunyuan Dan was also a low-grade heaven-level pill, but when he had just started refining it, his progress had been rather smooth, but this Baiyuan fruit made him feel like he was blocked by a threshold that was difficult to buy. It's only a Baiyuan fruit. Even if it's the foreseeing alchemy, it's inevitable that it will fail the first time. Su Meiyao said. Different from the foreseeing alchemy, although using it is complicated, I still feel that it will succeed sooner or later. But now that I am using the G.O.D. purification, I feel a sense of powerlessness, and that it will be very difficult to refine this Baiyuan fruit. Although Chen Xiang said that, he still took out a Baiyuan fruit. These high-grade herbs had a very special ability to protect themselves. If one wanted to cut them into pieces, it was a relatively simple matter. But because of this, they had destroyed the complete nature of these herbs, causing the energy within to be lost. However, the medicine spirits of these medicinal ingredients would not allow you to do it so easily. They would resist, so when using flames to deal with these medicinal ingredients, it would become extremely difficult. If one was even the slightest bit careless, they would cause these medicinal ingredients to self-destruct. The foreseeing alchemy could predict the internal changes of the spirit medicine, and could correct the temperature of the flame as well as some small mistakes in various aspects. It could prevent the spirit medicine from destroying itself, and then slowly burn it. However, the God purification that Chen Xiang was currently using wanted to refine it all. This required a strong flame as well as a strong mental energy to attack the spirit within the spirit medicine, making it unable to resist. The problem Chen Xiang was facing right now was that it was very difficult to deal with those spirits. He consecutively failed 4 times, but on the 5th time, he finally broke through to a point where he could save a little bit of the medicinal powder. However, he no longer had any extra Baiyuan fruit, so he could only get Su Meiyao to copy some of them using the creation divine liquid inside the ring. Chen Xiang rested for 4 hours, then he refined the Baiyuan fruit once again. This time, he opened his eyes and looked at the Baiyuan fruit on his palm. From the start of the compet. 1. Tian, it was only 1 day before Chen Xiang walked out of the refining room. He had already lost more than 10 Baiyuan fruit s, but this did not affect his enthusiasm for partic. 1 P. Aiding in the compet. 1 Tian. When Chen Xiang, who had been staying in the pill refining room, came out, he heard many shocking news, such as that the new generation genius, heavenly immortally Tianjun, would partic. 1 P. 8 in the compet. 1 Tian and his old rival, the Baixia Dan Immortal, would also be partic. 1 P. Aiding. Other than that, many other famous Dan Immortals had already come, and these Dan Immortal were all the pillars of their power. Although the Dan Immortals were not very famous, no one dared to look down on them. It was said that there were still 7th-rank Dan Immortals in the sacred Dan realm, but they did not partic. 1 P. 8 in the compet. 1 Tian. I never thought that even the long family of the sacred Dan realm would come. The 1 partic. 1 P. Aiding in the compet. 1 Tian is a 5th-grade Dan Immortal. The 4 great families of the sacred Dan realm should be the opponents that the myriad Dan immortal country values the most. Hearing the words of an old alchemist, Chen Xiang's heart was moved. If the Long family was here, then Long Huishan, the female dragon king, would also be present. I wonder if Xiao Ling has followed them over. If He Feng found out that Xiao Ling was following Big Sis Long, there might be some trouble. Chen Xiang touched his chin as he walked towards Myriad Dan building. I wonder if Xiao Ling has followed them over. If He Feng found out that Xiao Ling was following Big Sis Long, there might be some trouble. Chen Xiang touched his chin as he walked towards Myriad Dan building. The Myriad Dan building was now even more lively, and there were even more alchemists. Chen Xiang walked around and was not able to find Li Tianjun, so he left a little disappointed, but just as he walked out of the main gate of Myriad Dan building, he saw an old acquaintance. Du Hai is a 3rd-grade Dan immortal. At this time, he was following a few old men, chatting and laughing as he walked into the Myriad Dan building. This made Chen Xiang think of Du Yenyao. Du Yenyao was also a female alchemist, but she did not follow him. I wonder if that Las Xiangyuan Qianshan will come. Chen Xiang did not go and recognize Du Hai. His ident. 1. Tai could not be revealed easily, otherwise the effects would be great, and he might not be able to partake 1p8 in the tournament. Furthermore, he would be surrounded and killed by a large group of powerful forces. Chen Xiang came to a shop that was opened here by the Divine Saber Immortal Palace, which specializes in selling magical equipment and immortal equipment. The Divine Saber Immortal Palace was a refining power, so the things that were refined there were pretty good. He had come here to pick out the pill furnaces, because he had heard that the pill furnaces used in the compet 1. Tian were all brought personally by himself, so he could not use the Yanlong furnace anymore, because there were too many people in Heaven Realm that could be found easily. Buying a lower-grade immortal pill furnace is enough. The main thing is that it can withstand heat and is STU. Dysprosium, Su Meiyao warned him. She also did not recommend Chen Xiang to use the Yanlong furnace S to compete. It was the holy level dragon equipment pill furnace. I can't afford it, it's too expensive. Chen Xiang had seen quite a few, all of them had to have at least 10 million spiritual crystal. This little brother, from the looks of it, you seem to be a bit short on money. What kind of pill furnace do you need? What rank? The shopkeeper saw that Chen Xiang was frowning and shook his head with a sigh, so he asked while laughing. I want a low-grade immortal pill furnace, but it's too expensive. I only have 6 million spiritual crystal. Chen Xiang said honestly. The 1,000 spiritual crystal that he had previously won had been used up after just a few teleports. This is indeed a bit difficult. If you don't mind using old ones, there's one that's more suitable. It has a proper origin, so it won't bring you any trouble. The shopkeeper thought for a moment and took out a gray pill furnace that was about half the height of a person and had an appearance similar to a water jar. The appearance was very rough, with the appearance of a water tank. It was round and fat, and if one did not look carefully at the entrance to the fire below, one would see that it was clearly a water tank. Chen Xiang opened the lid, looked inside and knocked it. He was quite satisfied with the materials. They were also low-grade immortal equipment, and the high-grade materials were abundant. The array formations carved inside were all very good, just that their appearances were a little hard to accept. The person who created this pill furnace should have a rich experience in refining. However, why did he create such a shape? Chen Xiang frowned. Good eye, this really is the work of a master. It's only 6 million spiritual crystal. How about it? The shopkeeper said with a smile. Su Meiyao said, other than its poor appearance, everything else is pretty good. Let's push down the price. Chen Xiang had the same thought. He said, 4 million spiritual crystal. This pill furnace looks quite new, but I can see that it has been sold for more than 10 people's hands, and their appearance is not beautiful. If you keep it, it would be difficult for it to be sold. The shopkeeper looked around and lowered his voice. Young man, this pill furnace is from the devil-killing summit. I won't lie to you, there is a small immortal formation that only the people of devil-killing summit can draw. It's called the 7 Stars Skyfire Formation. When refining pills, it absorbs the power of the stars, strengthening the flame. It is indeed the devil-killing summit's small immortal array. Only a small portion of people in the devil-killing summit would know about it. I don't understand it at all. Su Meiyao was also surprised. Chen Xiang said in a low voice, You were saying earlier that it was a proper place. What kind of place is the devil-killing summit? If the enemies of the devil-killing summit were to find out that I am using this pill furnace, then I would be in deep trouble. Don't worry, we will give you a proof that the Divine Saber Immortal Palace sold it. It has nothing to do with you. The storekeeper hastily smiled apologetically. About 4 million spiritual crystal. I really don't have enough money on me. Besides, you should be able to tell that I'm going to Partik. 1p8 in the compet. 1 Tian. At that time, I might need some spiritual crystal to help me circulate my wealth. Chen Xiang said. 4,500,000 spiritual crystal, each to take a step back. The manager sighed. Forget it, I'll buy it. The proof I got has to be reasonable. Otherwise, if I want to buy this pill furnace, it would be equivalent to buying a lethal weapon. Chen Xiang warned the shopkeeper repeatedly. After Chen Xiang came out of the shop, his face was filled with smiles because he felt that the pill furnace was not bad. Although it couldn't compare to his Yanlong furnace, it wouldn't be too bad if he used it to compete in compet. 1 Tians. This pill furnace also had a good name, called the 7 Stars Treasure Furnace, which was slightly stronger than the Yanlong furnace. Go to the registration place and see what kind of powerful alchemists are there. Chen Xiang came to a palace not too far away from the palace. This was the Myriad Dan Immortal Palace. Every floor was as large as a plaza and as tall as 50 floors, and a portion of the floors below were for spectators. This immortal palace was usually used for large-scale compet. 1 Tie-ins and auctions. Chen Xiang walked in, looked around, and noticed that there were some qi coming out from some of the VIP rooms. He knew that when the time came, those strong warriors would hide inside the private rooms to watch the compet. 1 Tie-in. The compet. 1 Tie-in grounds in the middle was extremely huge, and there were seats placed everywhere, surrounded by many floors. There were a lot of people who could do it, and Chen Xiang guessed that they would definitely have to charge a lot of entrance fees when the time came. Of Divine Wind and Immortal Country of Baihai are actually fighting. Who came to Partik? 1p8 in the compet. 1 Tie-in are threatening to not put Myriad Dan Immortal Country in their eyes, and are even saying that when the time comes, there will be a contest between them. Once Chen Xiang entered, he heard these words, and immediately looked towards the direction of the voice, where a few old men were chatting. Immortal Country Baihai should be the White Sea Imperial Land. I wonder how Ji Meixian and Zhao Yiprofound, the 2 little maid, are. I miss them a lot. She was once the famous Yu Immortal Fairy, but she had been beaten up by him, and she was even his female slave. Myriad Dan Immortal Country has offended too many people. They say that this compet. 1 Tie-in has the greatest relations. Hi plus P with their Myriad Dan Immortal Country and Sacred Dan Realm, and does not even put others in their eyes. Thus, the other powers are not satisfied. Another old man said. Chen Xiang walked over and asked, Seniors, the final reward has been announced yet? Chen Xiang felt that the rewards of this compet. Tie-in wouldn't be too bad. Chen Xiang felt that the rewards of this compet. 1 Tie-in wouldn't be too bad. For the time being, I don't know. But the new king will definitely not give us anything inferior, so it would be too embarrassing for him to take it. An old man said. If someone called them seniors, they would naturally respond politely. Chen Xiang knew that these few old men had stayed here for a long time and knew a lot of information. He also chatted with them and asked them about some things that he wanted to know. I heard that the newly established human king Immortal Country also sent a group of alchemists to join in on the fun. That's for sure, this is a good chance to become famous, even the Imperial Dragon Clan who rarely partake. 1p. 8 In these kinds of things would send an Emperor Dragon who knows how to refine pills. There were also pill refiners in the Imperial Dragon Clan. Chen Xiang was a little shocked. What I'm more concerned about is the fight between this Li Tianjun brat and Bai Xia Dan Immortal. This guy lost miserably last time, I don't know if he can win this time. Bai Xia Dan Immortal is the head Dan Immortal, this core Dan Immortal. However, I feel that devil-suppressing Divine Palace's core Dan Immortal is quite interesting. Rumor has it that they're Dan Immortals who know how to use the demon-suppressing holy fire, and I don't know how powerful they will be. I really want to take a look. Chen Xiang clenched his fist tightly. He could definitely use this kind of flame as well. It was ignited from the devil-suppressing holy power. This could not be counted as true holy level flame. The holy level flame was above the heavenly fire after all. Just as Chen Xiang listened to the old geezers talk excitedly, the whole venue suddenly released a low voice from a man. Chen Xiang could tell that it was the kind of lecherous shout a man would make when he sees a beauty. This was the location for the compet. 1 Tian and was also the place to register for the compet. 1 Tian. Currently, there were 7,000 people there. Chen Xiang immediately looked at the pathway for the compet. 1 Tian and was startled. Even though her face was covered with a light veil, she was still extremely beautiful. Beside her, there was a mature beautiful woman who was on par with her, also wearing a veil, but that blee and dignified temperament, and that pair of gentle eyes, caused people to feel ashamed and inferior, and not dare to look directly at her. One of them was middle-aged, had a beard, had a very handsome face, looked very steady, and gave off a very strong feeling. On his face hung a light and gentle smile, while Lu Menger and the dignified beautiful woman stood at his two sides. That girl should be Lu Menger's mother, and the man must be her father. They are indeed two very powerful people. Long Shui said, for the time being, I can't see their strength clearly. Other than Lu Menger's family of 3, there were 2 other handsome youths who seemed to be quite strong. With a single glance, one could tell that they were disciples of famous sections. Elder Sister Menger is becoming more and more interesting, Chen Xiang praised in his heart. Thinking about what had happened with Lu Menger, his heart rippled. Humph, hurry up and meet her. Long Shui scoffed. I won't do it, her parents are too awesome. What if they know about Elder Sister Menger's master and disciples and me? Ahem, I will be beaten to death. Chen Xiang curled his lips and said. When Lu Menger and the others arrived, the place became much quieter. It was obvious with a glance that they were not ordinary people, and had also come to register for the compet. 1 Tian. What surprised everyone was that the one who registered was Lu Menger's mother. Chen Xiang remembered that Lu Menger did not say that her mother was also a pill refiner. I'm only registering for someone else's place. It should be okay if that person still hasn't come. Lu Menger's mother said softly. Of course you can. Name. The old man nodded. Xiao Profound Yun. Hearing the name, Chen Xiang only frowned his eyebrows slightly, because he had never heard of the name before, but the others started exclaiming in surprise. From the discussions of the crowd, Chen Xiang found out that this Xiao Profound Yun was his senior brother's wife. Back then Hua Xiangyue had said it before, that her master was senior brother Chen Xiang's wife. He had already been in the heaven realm for a while, but until now, he hadn't seen senior brother. Chen Xiang's eldest senior brother and wife were people that were at the same time as her parents, so it was normal that they had a good relations, Hi+P with each other. What made him a little depressed was that at that time, he might even fight with Xiao Profound Yun. Teacher, This old lunatic didn't mention anything about eldest senior brother to me last time, so I should take me to see him. Chen Xiang complained in his heart. Chen Xiang watched from afar. He really wanted to go and see Lu Meng'er, but now was not the right time. Meng'er, you're here too. Is Xiangyue not coming? Long Huishan suddenly walked in, her entire body releasing a dense dragon qi, donning a set of armor, giving off the aura of a female dragon king. Although her beauty was already very attractive, her imposing manner made her even more charming. Another incredible female expert had arrived. Everyone was secretly surprised. Her master is already here, she definitely won't partake. 1p8. I heard that the person sent by your Long family is a 5th grade Dan immortal. Lu Meng'er asked with a smile. The person I sent is definitely a very strong Dan immortal. We will definitely get first place this time. Long Huishan said very confidently. Didn't you already register? Who are you registering for now? Her relations. 8i plus P with Long Huishan was not bad, and all of this was because of Chen Xiang. I came to see if that little B, A-S-T, A-R-D Chen Xiang had registered. He had already ascended, yet he was cowering like a tortoise all day. Even at a time like this, he still didn't show himself. When Long Huishan talked about Chen Xiang, he was a little angry in his heart. Of course Chen Xiang wanted to, but he had done a lot of things recently. If he were to jump out now, there would definitely be people who would connect the dots, and at that time, he would definitely not be able to partake. 1p8 in the tournament smoothly. I'm afraid he won't come. If he does, then no one will fight anymore. Just killing him and stealing his treasures is enough. Lu Meng'er said in a low voice. What's there to be afraid of? I'll protect him. I'll behead whoever dares to S.N. A.T.C. H him away. Long Huishan said loudly. Chen Xiang left through the other door. He was worried that he would be pushed to the point of jumping out. From the start of the compet. 1. Tian, there were many famous alchemists who came one after another, and only after carrying out the examination would they be able to obtain the qualifications to partake. 1p8. Chen Xiang did not do anything else. Instead, he spent his time strolling around, inquiring about some information that was useful to him, such as the recent movements of the great powers that had enmity with him, and the number of people who came. I wonder where Master is. I wonder where this crazy old man is hiding, eating and drinking. Chen Xiang sat on the roof, looked at the setting sun, and softly sighed. Of course I know her. She is your second senior sister. That little girl Xiangyue can be considered the disciple of your eldest senior brother and his wife. Huang Jintian said. Of course I know her. She is your second senior sister. That little girl Xiangyue can be considered the disciple of your eldest senior brother and his wife. Huang Jintian said. What happened? Didn't you say you only have 2 disciples, me and Big Senior? Why did a second senior sister appear? Chen Xiang expressed his confusion. She concocts pills. Have you ever taught her how to refine pills? Huang Jintian laughed. I didn't teach you how to refine pills, but you are also very powerful. I only accepted her as my disciple when I came to the heaven realm, because she has strength and the relations. HI plus P between her and your big brother. Furthermore, she is older than you, so I made an exception and made her my second disciple. Chen Xiang was not satisfied. No, we can't break this rule, we have to follow the order of first come first served. She is my junior sister. Do as you please. When the time comes, go and argue with her. She's a girl who has a strong battle of words. If you can argue with her, the number 2 position will belong to you. Huang Jintian said casually. But she respects me a lot. I was so poor when I first came to Heaven Realm, she gave me a lot of spiritual crystal, and even gave me a pellet she refined, but you, if I let you bargain for a broken bird leg, then this girl will be more generous than you. Master, you can't say it like that. When you were sleeping on the street, I gave you more than half of my spiritual crystal, and now you're pretty rich too. You're obviously trying to cheat me out of my bird leg, so I can't give it to you for nothing." Chen Xiang wiped his nose, unconvinced. "Master, why are you following me?" Originally, it was Huang Jintian who pulled Chen Xiang, but now it was Huang Jintian who followed Chen Xiang. "I don't have a place to stay for the time being. You brat, last time you won against tens of millions of spiritual crystal, you still have a lot of them, right?" Huang Jintian said. "I will only leave after watching your compet. One Tian." After that, Chen Xiang brought Huang Jintian to a very rundown place. He rented a rundown house here, and this made Huang Jintian scold him for being stingy. "Master, I just bought a pill furnace, I'm so poor, don't despise me. Why don't you go look for eldest senior brother and junior sister, they will definitely be eating and drinking high-quality food." "Master, I just bought a pill furnace, I'm so poor, don't you hate them? Why don't you hate them?" Chen Xiang said. "Little brat, do you really not know that I am like you, unable to reveal my ident? One Tai?" Huang Jintian drank the meat broth Chen Xiang said to him, then laughed. "You brat, not bad, the golden rock bone soup is not something that anyone can drink. You don't have any green dragon demon slain broadsword on you, and you don't cause any trouble. Isn't it just the Taiji dragon suppressed kung fu? Eldest brother also dares to run around the streets. What are you afraid of?" Chen Xiang sat down to drink the soup. He indeed did not know why Huang Jintian was like him, afraid of being hara, as said by others. Huang Jintian finished the bowl of soup in one breath, and got Chen Xiang to help him fill the bowl. With a serious expression, he said, "After you promise to not think about me." Chen Xiang glanced at Huang Jintian and asked, "Master, do you really have some kind of extraordinary treasure on you?" "Humph, of course," Huang Jintian said proudly. Chen Xiang gave the soup to him and asked curiously, "I promise I won't get any ideas from you, what precious things do you have on you?" Huang Jintian chuckled. "I don't have anything precious, it's just that my flesh and blood is more precious. Eating it will help me live forever, and it's many times better than any pills that can increase my lifespan, this is already enough, right?" Chen Xiang took a deep breath. This was indeed enough, to be able to make many powerful experts with close to longevity do things that would break the rules. Some of the super experts were even able to use some high-leveled pills, but they were unable to increase their lifespan. Looks like the legend is true. Eating the undead race's flesh and blood will truly help one live forever. Su Meiyao exclaimed, Bai Yuyu and Long Shui were the same. Huang Jintian saw that Chen Xiang was looking at him strangely, and immediately shrank his body and said, "You brat, don't think about me, my blood is not good, my meat is very bad." "Master, if you're really poor, you could earn a lot even if you sold your blood and meat," Chen Xiang said. "That would be tantamount to violating clan rules, and would be struck by lightning by the heavens. I would not do that." Huang Jintian shook his head. Chen Xiang took out a few small pieces of golden rock meat and started a fire to let Huang Jintian roast the meat. Huang Jintian could not wait any longer. He was even treating Chen Xiang to food. Of course he would be very happy to do so. "Master, what kind of people are the parents of elder sister Menger? They seem to be very strong," Chen Xiang asked. Huang Jintian had flown up here for a period of time, so he should know something. "Her father's name is Lu Zhongyu and my mother's name is Song Ying. Their Lu family and Song family both have relatively prosperous immortal palaces in the Human King immortal country, and originally, these two families only had about 10 or so immortal palaces under their control. However, even though they were not kings, their status was still very high in the Human King immortal country." While Huang Jintian was flipping through the golden rock meat, he said, "The most amazing thing is not this, but the master of this couple. It is said that they are the descendants of a divine craftsman and have great influence." "So it's like that?" Chen Xiang never thought that Lu Menger's father and mother's background would be so profound and abundant. However, it also made him feel a lot more at ease. Huang Jintian chuckled. If little girl Lu's parents knew that you had that kind of relations, I plus P with her, then you would be in trouble. But don't be afraid, her parents are still very reasonable. You're the one who is despicable. Even if I'm despicable, I'm still learning from you. Chen Xiang fiercely bit off a piece of meat. Are you confident you can get first place? Many Dan Immortal have come. Huang Jintian asked. I don't know yet, but Li Tianjun will also be partic. 1. P. Aiding, but I'm definitely confident that I can get one of the top rankings in the first round. Chen Xiang was very confident. I am just worried that I might be forced to reveal my ident. 1. Tie in the end, that will depend on whether the prizes are powerful enough or not. Give me some benefits. If anything happens, I will bring you away. Even if Dragon Emperor is here, I will not be caught by him. Huang Jintian said with a smile. Master, we are master and disciple. You saving me is a matter of course. What benefits do you want? Chen Xiang laughed. Bro, you know how to settle debts. Huang Jintian laughed. I'll give you a bird's claw, okay? Chen Xiang said. If an accident were to happen, Huang Jintian would be able to bring him away and not drag anyone into it. That would be for the best. Although Huang Jintian's strength was unknown, but Chen Xiang was very confident in this mysterious madman's master. A bird's claw is a bird's claw, isn't it better? Huang Jintian laughed. If not for the fact that he was afraid of the broken house falling to pieces, he would have laughed crazily. Chen Xiang did not sleep at all and had roasted meat with Huang Jintian for an entire night. There was also the meat of dragon and golden rock, as well as some precious immortal beasts that Huang Jintian had collected. Chen Xiang did not sleep at all and had roasted meat with Huang Jintian for an entire night. There was also the meat of dragon and golden rock, as well as some precious immortal beasts that Huang Jintian had collected. After eating precious beast meat for an entire night, Chen Xiang was briming with energy. As soon as the sky brightened, he and Huang Jintian walked towards the Myriad Dan Immortal Palace. Huang Jintian had already bought a sign to watch the compet. 1. Tian from, and it was even the one at the front. No one knew how he obtained it, but for the alchemist that was partic. 1 P. Aiding, Chen Xiang did not need to buy them. Do you really not intend to meet with your juniors in secret? Chen Xiang sent a sound transmission to Huang Jintian. He had already treated Xiao Profound Yun as his own junior sister, and he had already decided that he would not acknowledge the person who had taken him as his master even if it were beaten to death. No need. Your senior brother and sister must not have a better reputation than ours. For the time being, don't disturb them. Although they also want to see me, we must have some awareness if we are to walk on this path. Huang Jintian said. After entering the 10,000 Dan Immortal Palace, Huang Jintian pulled Chen Xiang along, looked in a direction and said, That guy is called Wu Songhong. He's the little Baldy's ancestor and the king of the current human king, immortal country. Chen Xiang had already seen Wu Songhong before, and he knew that Wu Songhong was a cultivator, just that his conditions were not as good as his. Now that he had personally seen Wu Songhong, Chen Xiang actually wanted to go and thank him. The lad and the little Baldy didn't come. Chen Xiang asked. With that lousy strength of theirs, how could they dare to come? They've all gone into seclusion to cultivate. Right now, your senior apprentice brother is keeping them in check. Only the little girl, Xiangyue, has a bit of ease. Huang Jintian said. Gu Dongchen and Wu Kaming were both disciples of his big senior brother W. Ang Weiquan. After flying to Heaven Realm, they met once again as master and disciple. Alchemist entered the huge compet. 1. Tie-in grounds in the middle one by one, it was not a problem for them to store tens of thousands of alchemists' pills. Chen Xiang greeted Huang Jintian and then queued up to enter the venue. When entering, he needed to take out the pill furnace for the people at the entrance to inspect it. Although there were a lot of alchemist partic. 1. P. aiding, but there were also quite a lot of immortal kings spectating, and some were strong. It would not be easy for them to do anything in front of these experts. If anyone did that, the consequences would be dire. After Chen Xiang entered the arena, he surveyed his surroundings. He was shocked by the amount of people who came to spectate the compet. 1. Tian, there were a lot of them, and they formed a large circle with many levels that covered the surroundings. Chen Xiang did not see Lu Menger and the others, but rather, they were probably sitting in some VIP booths. Many people looked at Chen Xiang, because his water vat-like pill furnace was too eye-catching, attracting a few people's laughter, but Chen Xiang did not agree. He used several million spiritual crystal S to buy it. If it was new and not from the devil-suppressing kung fu, then it could at least be sold for tens of millions of spiritual crystal, which was not something that anyone could afford. This brat is such a bastard. He even said that he would be poor after buying a pill furnace, and that he would buy this SHI plus TTY thing. Huang Jintian did not know how powerful that pill furnace was either. After many alchemists entered the stage, they placed the pill furnace in front of them and then stood there, waiting for the compet. 1. Tian to start. Chen Xiang glanced at the pill furnaces of the other alchemist. Li Tianjun is here. Chen Xiang heard someone shout and looked towards the entrance. He saw a handsome man standing there, waiting for someone to inspect his pill furnace. So this fellow actually has a very young pill refiner. Before this, he always pretended to be an old man. Qin Xiang thought, Sister Meiyao, is his pill furnace powerful? Exquisite grade immortal furnace, what do you think? Su Meiyao said. That's so much worse than mine. My Yanlong furnace is a holy level dragon tool. Qin Xiang said, it's a pity that it's too dazzling and cannot be used carelessly. If the prize is very precious, then so be it. Su Meiyao said, that crazy master of yours is not simple. He said that he had the ability to bring you away, you should really be able to do it. Not long after Li Tianjun walked in, a burst of cheers came from the crowd. At this time, the Bai Xia Dan immortal came in, wearing a unique fiery red robe. It was a middle-aged lady. She was not the old granny from the rumors. This pill furnace is also a top-grade immortal furnace, but it's much more valuable than her previous Jade Cloud treasure furnace. Su Meiyao said. The following people who entered the stage were all famous Dan Immortals, but Chen Xiang had never heard of them, so he did not really understand much about them. His junior sister had finally arrived, dressed in light attire and a simple ponytail. Her face was free of any veil, revealing a beautiful face. There was a smile on her face, and she was holding a dark green pill furnace. Chen Xiang didn't think that Xiao Profound Yun was also very famous. He was not one bit inferior to Li Tianjun, Bai Xia Dan Immortal and other great powers top Dan Immortals, such as Devil-Suppressing Divine Palace, Divine Wind Immortal Country, White Sea Immortal Country, and those like Divine Saber Immortal Palace, only knew Du Hai. His pill refining skills were not bad, and he was very famous in the Sacred Dan realm. On the other hand, the alchemist of the Long family was an old granny. Although many people had never heard of it, when Chen Xiang saw this old granny, they all respected her as well. This grandma is so amazing. It seems like there is the profound Bing sacred flame, which should be the true sacred flame. I never thought that the Long family would have such a powerful person. Long Shui said in shock. No wonder Li Tianjun said that this was the stage of the Dan Immortal. We little fellows only came to join in on the fun. I didn't expect that I would compete with so many powerful alchemists so early. Chen Xiang thought. He did not feel that it was difficult at all. He had the confidence to get first place. It's not the highest level of compet. 1. Tian yet, the highest is probably just a 5th stage Dan Immortal. Those 7th or 8th stage Dan Immortal are the strongest, but they should all be watching from the side. If they were to partake 1p8 in this compet 1. Tian, the other Dan Immortal would immediately withdraw, and those old monsters are the real powerful ones. Su Meiyao said. All the alchemists were present, but Chen Xiang did not find anyone else he was familiar with. As expected, Hua Xiangyue and Wu Qianqian did not come, but Chen Xiang guessed that they were watching from the side. Next, the new king He Peiqing came up to read out the compet 1 Tian rules. He was the previous 6th prince. Chen Xiang had seen him last time at the palace. What Chen Xiang cared about was the reward. Other people might have come to compete with him or to join in on the fun, but Chen Xiang was doing it for the reward. Previously, there were rumors saying that the final reward would be announced at this time. Chen Xiang was secretly looking forward to it. Many people guessed that the reward would be holy level herbs, but Chen Xiang did not think so, because He Peiqing's Tianshan holy fruit was tricked away by him, so even if He Peiqing still had the holy level herbs, he would definitely not be willing to take them out right now. As for the top-grade immortal medicines, they were definitely not, because in many people's eyes they were too cheap. Many people guessed that the reward would be holy level herbs, but Chen Xiang did not think so, because He Peiqing's Tianshan holy fruit was tricked away by him, so even if He Peiqing still had the holy level herbs, he would definitely not be willing to take them out right now. As for the top-grade immortal medicines, they were definitely not, because in many people's eyes they were too cheap. He Peiqing stood on stage and took out a square black chest. It was the final reward of this compet 1. Tian, causing everyone to start discussing and guessing what kind of thing was inside. The square black box was not big and could be held up with one hand. It could not be a large object, rather it seemed to be filled with medicinal herbs. However, it was usually held in a jade box. At that moment, only Chen Xiang was shocked by the sight of the box, because there was a very small pattern on top of the box. He had previously obtained a map, and there was this pattern on the back of the map, and that pattern represented the Dan Emperor. Only the Dan Emperor could draw that pattern. The things inside are related to the Dan Emperor. Chen Xiang frowned as he looked at the box in the distance. He wanted to use the Chaos Divine Eye to see through it, but he was blocked by something. When Chen Xiang looked at the faces of the powerful Dan Immortals, he unexpectedly realized that they had the same shocked expression as him, as if they knew the origin of the pattern. Is it something related to the Dan Emperor? The old lady had been squinting her eyes the entire time. When the box appeared, she immediately opened her eyes wide, but from her pair of bright eyes, she was not at the end of her life, but was filled with vitality, which did not match with her aged appearance. It really is the heaven realm. There are a few people who know about the Dan Emperor. Chen Xiang thought. Hearing Dan Emperor, many people were at a loss, but they knew that he was strong, and only a few Dan Immortals had faces full of shock, at the same time looking at the box with fiery eyes. Since it is the reward of the alchemy compet 1. Tian, it will definitely be related to alchemy. Now, I can tell everyone, there is a cauldron inside the box. This cauldron is very extraordinary. Dan Emperor used to refine pills. This cauldron was once created by a divine craftsman, and was used by divine craftsmen for a period of time. Speaking till here, the entire compet 1. Tian grounds erupted in exclamations. Even He Peiqing could not continue. Some were surprised, but others did not believe it. Why don't you keep the things that the blacksmith used? That's right, it had been used by 2 famous people before. No matter what, it should be a sacred weapon, and this thing is many times more precious than holy level herbs. Chen Xiang also expressed his doubts. He had used divine craftsmen to create and use it, and even Dan Emperor had used it later on. If it was true, even if he brought it back to give face, the meaning behind it would be worth a lot. Everyone, please be quiet. He Peiqing shouted out loud. his voice shaking the ears of everyone present. There were more than 100,000 people on the scene, and the ruckus was extremely annoying. Now that it had suddenly quieted down, it seemed a little strange. He Pei-Ching took out that cauldron. It was very small, like an incense burner, a three-legged black cauldron. The cauldron was circular, and was extremely bright. The little cauldron was spinning in He Pei-Ching's hand, and everyone could see a very small pattern at the bottom of the cauldron. It was unique to the Dan Emperor, and at the same time, it was a small black hammer sculpture by his side. This black hammer had many very small spirit grain S on it. If they looked carefully, they would realize that the small hammer was carved from many spirit grain that had interweaved together. It was the mark of a divine craftsman, and what He Pei-Ching said was true. These two marks were enough to prove that the little cauldron had once been used by the Dan Emperor and divine craftsman. Everyone also discovered that there was a problem. The small cauldron did not have a lid. After this cauldron has been recognized, we can control its size with our will. Everyone should have discovered that this cauldron has no lid, so its value will be greatly reduced. However, it is still very precious. He Pei-Ching said with regret. I made a very big decision before I took it out as a reward. Without the cover, it can only be used for viewing. To forge a lid suitable for this cauldron, it would be extremely difficult. Even if we were able to create one, we cannot display the full power of this cauldron. A Dan immortal said, however, the significance of this cauldron is great. As the final reward for this compet. 1. Tian, it is still too valuable. Actually, not only can this cauldron be used for refining pills, it can also be used for combat. The largest part of this cauldron can become the size of a house, and it's also very heavy, and it's most suitable for defense. At the same time, it can also be used as a storage magic treasure. He Pei-Ching's words caused Chen Xiang and Huang Jintian's eyes to light up, because if there was such a thing, then in the future, they would have to kill dragons and emperor birds. If you want to recreate the Suzaku divine weapon in the future, you can only rely on this cauldron. Although you lack a lid, but don't you have a map that the Dan Emperor left behind? Su Meiyao said. To Chen Xiang, his divine power was enough to form a lid, so the flaw of having no lid on this cauldron was not a problem. It's not easy to get them. Look at the looks in the eyes of those old fellows, as if they want to eat this cauldron alive. I'm under a lot of pressure, Chen Xiang said. He was currently sparring with a large group of Dan Immortals, after all. If he wanted to get first place, it was truly a mystery. Next, everyone, I will give you another hour to adjust your condition. The first round of the compet. 1. Tian will begin in an hour. After He Pei-Ching finished speaking, he immediately placed the small cauldron into the box and kept it. He could not bear the gazes of the old Dan immortal either. Chen Xiang closed his eyes and concentrated on meditating. He was now very serious because he really wanted that cauldron. In a private room, Lu Zhongyu saw He Pei-Ching keep the cauldron and sighed helplessly. As expected, the divine furnace is in He clan's hands. Lu Menger's parents were the disciples of the divine craftsman, so they had a certain understanding of the cauldron. Song Ying smiled lightly. Didn't Master already say that you don't need to care about this divine furnace? That is the work of the ancestor, and we need to create our own divine cauldron in the future. That is the thing that we should care about. Mother, the Suzaku silk I have right now belongs to Grand Master? Lu Menger asked. Even though she was in charge of the divine weapon sect in the past, she was now an obedient daughter by her parents' side. Your senior thought that the Suzaku silk could only protect you at most, but who would have thought that after so long, you actually obtained the approval of the Suzaku silk and could use this divine tool. You must take good care of him in the future. Song Ying kindly caressed Lu Menger's hair. Advertis. Ent. Lu Menger nodded his head slightly. The Suzaku silk was something that Chen Xiang had helped her obtain, but she did not say it out loud. She also did not mention anything about Chen Xiang possessing a profound wood diamond armor. Lu Meng'er nodded his head slightly. The Suzaku silk was something that Chen Xiang had helped her obtain, but she did not say it out loud. She also did not mention anything about Chen Xiang possessing a profound wood diamond armor. Not only that, she knew that Chen Xiang had the thought of refining a new Suzaku divine weapon, that the Suzaku divine weapons plan for number 2 was in that divine book, that she and Dongfang Xinyue had cracked it, that it was a bow that needed the vermilion bird skeleton to refine, and Chen Xiang had it too. These things were definitely earth-shattering, so she and Dongfang Xinyue kept it a secret and never revealed it to anyone else. I never thought that the Suzaku silk would be with Meng'er. This is the Suzaku divine weapon in the 4 symbols divine weapons. G Weiquan was also here. He was Huang Jintian's eldest disciple, and had a very good relations. Hi+P with Lu Meng'er's parents when he was at Mortal Realm. Even more so now. He wasn't afraid of him finding out about the matters regarding Suzaku divine weapon. My junior brother has a green dragon demon-slain broadsword, that's the Azure Dragon divine weapon. Because of this, many people have set their sights on him, causing him to ascend in power. He doesn't even dare show his face. G Weiquan laughed. I really want to meet this troublemaker, to be able to stir up so many problems. Lu Meng'er looked at the quiet arena and said, maybe he's already here. Lu Zhongyu said, Xian told me before, he is always sneaky, but if he wants to sneak in right now, I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Many guest rooms have enemies on them. At this time, Wu Canghong walked in and laughed. Just now, I said by a VIP room. I heard that he Peiqing's Tianshan holy fruit was taken off by someone, that's why I summoned the divine tripod right now. I think the Dan Immortal that he sent out is under a lot of pressure. He sent 10 powerful Dan Immortals. Who knows, this divine cauldron might really fall into his hand. What you mean is, the Tianshan holy fruit were stolen. Who has that kind of ability? Lu Zhongyu asked in shock. It's not that they were robbed, or else they would have definitely started a fight. I heard that they were somehow taken away by someone else. I'm not too sure about the specifics. Wu Canghong laughed. I would also like to know which expert did this, to be able to make He Peiqing suffer such a loss. Songying frowned. Looks like this 10,000 pills main palace is hiding some kind of extraordinary guy. Someone who can use 2 kinds of super old poison, and also someone who can steal the Tianshan holy fruit. We have to be a little careful. Maybe the same person did it, G Weiquan said. Just as they were chatting, they suddenly realized that 3 immortal kings from the myriad Dan immortal country had entered the compet. One, Tian, and arrived next to Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang, who was still meditating, immediately opened his eyes when he felt the dangerous aura approaching him. At this moment, everyone's attention was focused on him. Surrounded by the 3 immortal kings, the person who was able to enjoy such treatment should be a very strong person. This is Devil Killing Summit's pill furnace. You are Devil Killing Summit's man. He Peiqing, who was standing on the stage, flew over and asked with furrowed brows. Back when Chen Xiang and Huang Jintian snuck into the palace, they had already claimed that they were from Devil Killing Summit, but when Chen Xiang slipped away from the palace, Huang Jintian went missing, so He Peiqing and the rest suspected that it was someone from Devil Killing Summit. No. Chen Xiang immediately responded. I bought this pill furnace from Divine Saber Immortal Palace. Here is their proof of it. Chen Xiang took out the proof. When he bought it back then, he had also predicted that something like this would happen. At this time, another 3 immortal kings came and surrounded him. This kind of battle array caused many people to be shocked, but hearing that it had to do with the Devil Killing Summit, everyone felt that it was normal, as the Devil Killing Summit's reputation and infamy were known by everyone. That pill furnace was indeed sold by our Divine Saber Immortal Palace. Don't make it difficult for him. A thunderous shout came from a VIP room. The water vat-like pill furnace had previously become the laughingstock of others, but now that they found out that it belonged to the devil-killing summit, no one dared to look down on it. Of course, they admired this person who dared to use the things of the devil-killing summit even more, so were they not afraid of being accidentally killed? Some of the big shots of the big powers had already found out about He Peiqing's loss of a Tianshan holy fruit. Seeing how concerned they were for a devil-killing summit, they knew that it was very possible that the Tianshan holy fruit was taken away by the people of the devil-killing summit. At the same time, it also caused many great powers to become cautious, because it had been a long time since the people of devil-killing summit had done such a thing. The Divine Saber Immortal Palace had already said this, so He Peiqing and the others did not make things difficult for Chen Xiang. The immortal kings quickly dispersed. Chen Xiang heaved a sigh of relief. He almost couldn't continue the compet. Tian anymore. You can be considered a member of the Devil-Killing Summit, and now you're using the Devil-Killing Summit's pill furnace to partake. 1p8 in the compet. Tian, does this count as representing the Devil-Killing Summit? Su Meiyao laughed. You can say that, but I don't dare to say it out loud. I'm afraid I'll lose my life. Chen Xiang touched the pill furnace. He liked this pill furnace a little because the 7-star sky fire formation inside was very powerful. He only needed to put in a little flame, and that 7-star sky fire formation could absorb the star power that was floating in the sky and earth and strengthen the flame inside. There are 10 people on the stage, and each of them has 10 different types of ground-level pills, including low, middle and high rank. And now that the low-rank ground-level S have been distributed, after that the compet. Tian will immediately begin. There were a lot of alchemists here, so there was definitely a lot of medicinal herbs that were needed, but to Myriadan Immortal Country there was not much pressure. An old man opened a big box, and a large amount of 9 quenching body Dan's medicinal herbs immediately flew out, and under the control of many immortal kings, they accurately split the boxes and floated to the sides of the alchemist. The 3 main ingredients for 9 quenching body Dan were lava fruit, Vajra Lingji and yellow jade lotus seed. Chen Xiang was extremely familiar with these 3 main ingredients. You guys can take the supplementary medicine first. If you don't have it, you can come and get it from us. Every alchemist had a portion of the 9 quenching body Dan's main medicinal ingredient, so of course everyone had the auxiliary medicinal ingredients. Anyone who came to partake. 1p8 in this kind of compet. Tian had long been prepared. The match begins. Seeing that all the alchemists were ready, He Peiqing immediately shouted. After that, many alchemists started to organize the main ingredient. Everyone frowned because the quality of these ingredients was not very good. Many of the alchemists present also took out some C.R. APPY medicinal herbs for them to refine, and there were quite a few high-level alchemists who were able to turn corruption into magic. In this way, in the end, through this method, He Peiqing managed to turn a large amount of dilapidated medicinal ingredients that had been stored in his storage into high-quality pills. Advertis. ENT. Earth-grade low-rank Dan gets 1 point, middle grade gets 2 points, and high grade gets 3 points. When everyone comes up to pick the herbs, you should consider carefully. The limit for each herb taken is 10 portions. After the refinement is done, you can pick from the new bat. If there are more people, you will have to queue up, so the timing is very crucial. An old man said. Earth grade low rank Dan gets 1 point, middle grade gets 2 points, and high grade gets 3 points. When everyone comes up to pick the herbs, you should consider carefully. The limit for each herb taken is 10 portions. After the refinement is done, you can pick from the new bat. If there are more people, you will have to queue up, so the timing is very crucial. An old man said. Chen Xiang guessed that there would definitely be a lot of Dan Immortal S who would choose to refine high-grade ground-level pills later. He was worried that the medicine would get a strong glow, and when that happened, refining middle and low-grade pills would not be worth it. Many people only paid attention to the famous alchemists. These were all Dan Immortals. They organized the ingredients very quickly and their methods were all different. Their speeds were unexpectedly all the same, putting the ingredients into the furnace at the same time. The tens of thousands of alchemists in the huge compet. 1. Tie-in were lined up in neat rows, but there were different pill furnaces. Some of them were even emitting bright red light. There were many pill furnaces that were extremely beautiful, causing people to be unable to catch up. As long as he finished refining this furnace, it could be considered the true start of the compet. 1. Tie-in. This furnace was equivalent to being able to gain as much time as possible by being able to immediately go to the 10 elders on the stage to gather the medicinal ingredients. Otherwise, if there were too many people, they would have to queue up and waste a lot of time in the beginning. The compet. 1. Tie-in lasted for 1 day and 1 night. Everyone had a very rare amount of time. A moment said, and a few Dan Immortals had already opened their eyes. It was clear that they had completed condensing their pellets. These Dan Immortals included Li Tianjun, by Xia Dan Immortal, the mysterious old lady from the Long family, as well as the various famous Dan Immortals. The maximum speed at which 9 quenching body Dan can be refined is also that, and these Dan Immortal can all reach this speed, so it was completed at almost the same time. The faster one was the old lady from the Long family. She had already opened up the pill furnace, but right at this moment, Chen Xiang, who was carrying his water vat pill furnace, flew past a large distance, straight to the old man in front of the stage. Chen Xiang opened the pill furnace and took out 3 9 quenching body Dan. At this moment, everyone's eyes were on his water jar pill furnace, and when they saw the 3 batches of 9 quenching body Dan, they all started to cry out. It's actually 3 9 quenching body Dan. Li Tianjun frowned slightly. He knew that this person was Chen Xiang, but he was still a little surprised. It was because those medicinal herbs were all rotten, yet Chen Xiang actually refined 3 pills at such a fast speed, a little faster than them, the famous Dan Immortal. Although it was just 1 point, it meant that Chen Xiang had said their limit. Many Dan Immortal looked at Chen Xiang seriously, wanting to see what kind of person he was. 10 sets of 5 elements profound Dan. Chen Xiang said, his voice somewhat quick. He was very serious right now because he really wanted that little cauldron. Amongst the high-grade ground levels pills, the number of 5 elements profound Dan that came out was the most. Even though the difficulty of refining it was very high, it was nothing to Chen Xiang, which was why he chose this type of pill. Such a clever little fellow. If I had known earlier, I would have brought the pill furnace up as well. I might have been faster than you. The old lady laughed as she stood behind Chen Xiang. When he went up carrying the furnace, it was also exactly at the time when the pill condensation was completed. There was indeed a bit of time left, and seeing Chen Xiang's actions, many Dan Immortals also followed suit. Chen Xiang obtained 10 batches of 5 elements profound Dan and quickly returned to his own position. The old lady also had 3 9 quenching body Dan, which showed how strong her skills were. Chen Xiang used the G.O.D. purification, adding on to the fact that he himself cultivated the divine way. He could unexpectedly refine a few more pills. Right after the old lady was by Xia Dan Immortal, then Li Tianjun, and then his junior sister Xiao Profound Yun. They had chosen 5 elements profound Dan, and there were also relive Dan. In order to prevent alchemists from choosing only one herb, the palace had to adjust the quality of the herbs. The relive Dan, on the other hand, produced many pills, so the quality of the herbs was poor. Therefore, when some Dan Immortals obtained the 5 elements profound Dan's medicinal ingredients, they would immediately switch to relive Dan because the medicinal ingredients were not good. Even Li Tianjun and the Bai Xia Dan Immortal had no choice but to choose a relive Dan. What's this person's name? Go and have a look, he's hiding something. He Pei-Ching said to the old man beside him. His name is Yu Gang. He should be a fake name. I'm afraid it will be difficult to find him. The old man said. To be able to use a portion of inferior quality medicinal herbs to refine 3 of them in the shortest amount of time, the level of display would definitely surpass those of the Dan Immortales. Thus, Chen Xiang immediately attracted the attention of many big shot. Chen Xiang knew, if he wanted to take first place, he could not hide his strength. There were too many Dan Immortal here. If he did not bring out his strongest abilities, it would be hard for him to fight them. I heard that the last time Chen Xiang partook 1p aided in the compet 1 Tian in Sacred Dan Realm, he also had 3 pellets in a pot, and one of them was from the peak quality. Long Huishan said. In the VIP box that she was in, there were a few elders. One of them had a head full of white hair, but it shone with a pure white light. That's right, I was watching the compet. 1 Tian from the side. Is the person in front of me Chen Xiang? Yen Xilan wore a purple dress and sat beside Long Huishan. Her beautiful eyes were like water as she looked at the water jar furnace. Very high elder, can you see anything from this person? Long Huishan looked at the old man whose hair was emitting white light and asked respectfully. There were no wrinkles on this old man's face. His skin was as white as an infant's and had a rosy complexion. However, he had an extremely aged aura around him. It was as if he had lived for countless years and was exuding an ancient aura. He doesn't have a dantian, or I can't feel his dantian. The flames are the 5 elements heavenly fire and an even more powerful flame that is changing back and forth. The changes inside the pill furnace are very strange, violent and unstable, but they are very regular. He isn't using the foreseeing alchemy to refine pills. The old man stroked his long, white brows as a surprised light flashed in his deep eyes. Can you feel the dragon power on his body? Or maybe it's the devil-suppressing holy power. Chen Xiang has this aura on his body. Long Huishan asked again. No, I can't sense his dantian, so I can't be sure. The very high elder shook his head, but this gives me a very scary feeling. Every time his heart beats, I feel like this heaven realm will be destroyed. This. Can you confirm that he is Chen Xiang? Long Huishan really wanted to see Chen Xiang right now, but there was no way to contact him. No. The very high elder shook his head. Yen Xilan chuckled. Huishan, wait a little longer, this is just the beginning, I think he will definitely come. He likes to join in the fun, how can he be absent from this kind of thing? It's just that it's not convenient for him to appear, you should understand his current situation. Advertis. Ent. Chen Xiang began to refine the first batch of 5 elements profound Dan, but a moment later, the famous Dan Immortal S all took out high-grade ground-level pills one after another from their pill furnaces. Chen Xiang began to refine the first batch of 5 elements profound Dan, but a moment later, the famous Dan Immortal S all took out high-grade ground-level pills one after another from their pill furnaces. What's going on? Why are they so fast? Chen Xiang said in surprise. These Dan Immortal S were not that fast when they were refining the Earth-grade low-rank Dan, but now they were much faster than him when he was refining upper ground level S, especially the old lady from the Long family. She had refined a pot of 5 elements profound Dan, and there were 3 of them. Their pill furnaces, these Dan Immortal S need a long time to refine high-grade immortal pills, so most of their pill furnaces have time formation S that shorten the time. They did not use them just now, probably because they did not expect there to be so many Dan Immortal S with such high standards. Su Meiyao said. The Long family's Dan Immortal was currently the most eye-catching because she used the inferior 5 elements profound Dan S to refine pills. If she could produce 3 pills in one furnace, the Dan Immortal who made the relived Dan could only produce 2 pills in one pot. However, the old lady's speed was also slower than the other alchemist. There was no need to mention Li Tianjun and the Bai Xia Dan Immortal, their speed was even faster. Almost not long after placing the medicinal ingredients in, they were able to open the lid to take the pellet. Before Chen Xiang had even finished one furnace, others had already finished two. Previously, he had received praise from many, but not for long. He had lost it because those Dan Immortals had used their strongest abilities and had completely covered him. It seems like they are fighting for the top 3 positions. Only the top 3 can obtain the pills they refined. No one wants to give the pills they refined to He Peiqing. Su Meiyao said, "You have to hurry. If this goes on, you won't even be in the top 3. However, Chen Xiang was still very calm. In this kind of nervous atmosphere, every alchemist, whether they were from the Dan Immortal or the Pill sect, appeared very anxious. Only he gave people a very calm feeling, and was not affected by the atmosphere. Chen Xiang paid great attention to refining the 5 elements profound Dan, and helped him observe the progress of the Dan Immortal S. The quality of these medicinal ingredients are all very poor. Don't tell me that you're trying your best to concoct more pills? Su Meiyao asked. She had thought that Chen Xiang would immediately speed up. Yes, I can't use the supplementary ingredients that I brought myself right now, so I can only pour the creation divine liquid into the flame. That way, I can replenish the spirit medicine's spirit energy, so as long as I keep it safe, I can concoct quite a few of them in one furnace. Chen Xiang said. Back then when I was refining the 5 elements profound Dan, my peak value was 4 pills. 5 pills was a very easy task for you. Even when you were refining the 5 elements profound Dan in the past, you only had 5 pills per furnace. Su Meiyao said. I didn't learn depurification when I consumed 5 pills in a single furnace, but now. Heh. Chen Xiang smiled mysteriously. Su Meiyao took in a light breath. She had almost forgotten about the depurification. Previously Chen Xiang had used it to its full capacity and refined 4 relived Dan-s in one go. But now, with how confident Chen Xiang was, it was obvious that he was going to exceed his limits once again. The Long family's 3rd batch of 5 elements profound Dan only had 2 pellets. It seems like she was also helpless against these broken pellets. She had absolute confidence in Chen Xiang. She believed that Chen Xiang would definitely be able to enter the top 3. If you manage to refine 6 pellets, He Peiqing will definitely suspect you, because the same thing happened to you when you were refining the relived Dan back then. Su Meiyao said. We'll talk about it when the time comes. In short, I won't admit it. Chen Xiang had already planned to give it his all to refine pills, otherwise it would be difficult for him to win against these powerful Dan Immortals. Chen Xiang could not use Yanlong furnace, otherwise his speed would become even faster. However, he knew that there was a drawback to speeding up the arrays since it would consume a lot of alchemists' energy. What Li Tianjun cared about the most was Chen Xiang, because he knew that Chen Xiang had a power that exceeded his limits. He had already refined 3 batches, yet Chen Xiang did not even finish a single furnace. All right. Chen Xiang opened his eyes and slowly opened the lid. At the same time, a few waves of consciousness were projected over, followed by more than 10 Dan Immortals who released their divine intents to check on his result. After the lid was completely opened, all the Dan Immortal were emotionally moved, because they had detected that Chen Xiang's pill furnace had 6 high-quality 5 elements profound Dan. These alchemists' first reaction was to not believe it, thinking that Chen Xiang had cheated. However, they could not find any evidence to prove that Chen Xiang had cheated, and those 6 5 elements profound Dan had indeed just left so they were definitely not mistaken. 6 pills. The very high elder from the Long family stood up suddenly and looked at the 6 5 elements profound Dan that were slowly floating out of Chen Xiang's pill furnace. At this time, many of the alchemists on the stage turned their heads over and looked at Chen Xiang. Some of them even stopped refining pills and looked at him in shock. He Feng and He Peiqing immediately frowned, because previously, the Grandmaster Yen, at their sixth shop was also so powerful that he could produce pills beyond his limits, but now, the person who used the water jar furnace to concoct pills was evidently more powerful than the Grandmaster Yen. Using 6 inferior medicinal ingredients in a single batch was completely illogical. Chen Xiang placed the 6 5-elements profound Dan into a jade box and then arranged the next batch of medicinal ingredient. From the beginning to the end, he was extremely calm and did not lose his composure because he was the center of attention. Suddenly, the spectators fell silent for a moment, then erupted into a flurry of discussions, many expressing their disbelief, and even more thinking that Chen Xiang was cheating. Chen Xiang using creation divine liquid to recover those medicinal ingredients did not seem to be cheating in his eyes, as he had also consumed a lot of energy. Furthermore, that was his own strength. If he was cheating, then the accelerated pill furnaces used by the Dan Immortal would also be cheating. Now that so many people were staring at him, if he cheated, it would definitely not escape the eyes of so many experts. At this time, even more people were looking at Chen Xiang, but Chen Xiang was not affected at all. He was wholeheartedly arranging his ingredients, and the most amazing thing was not that he could make 3 batches of ingredients, but that he could make 3 batches of ingredients with his ingredients. If high-leveled pills could make such a difference in the future, then this kind of alchemist would definitely be very popular. It was still a compet. 1. Tian, so even if He Peiqing had many questions, he could not go over to ask, but Chen Xiang knew that the new king would definitely come looking for him in the future. Very High Elder, can you refine 5 pills? Long Huishan asked. No, I can only concoct at most 5 pills. If I use those inferior herbs, it would only be 4 pills. This person is definitely a genius. I don't know who taught him how to make such pills. I can confirm that he didn't use the foreseeing alchemy, but some other method to make pills. The old man stroked his beard as he spoke. Chen Xiang was not refining a cauldron of medicinal ingredients, but rather arranging all of the medicinal ingredients in an instant, thus the others refined another furnace. Chen Xiang was not refining a cauldron of medicinal ingredients, but rather arranging all of the medicinal ingredients in an instant, thus the others refined another furnace. Finally, the crowd had waited for him to finish arranging the ingredient. They planned to watch him refine the pills from the start to the end. They wanted to see if they could figure out anything or if he was cheating. However, Chen Xiang actually carried a huge pile of medicinal ingredients and poured them all into the water jar furnace, causing everyone to be dumbstruck. The taboo in refining pills was being greedy. This kind of method was something that every alchemist would think of. Many alchemists had tried, but they found it difficult to succeed. This guy is really reckless. If he fails to gather too many medicinal ingredients, then he can't go back to claim them. At that time, he can only withdraw from the compet. 1 Tian. If he was as steady as before and fought step by step, he might be able to get a good ranking. But if he failed, then it would be 9 sets of herbs. Everyone whispered in disgust, while Chen Xiang's strong flames ignited the black water jar furnace red, and at the same time, a burst of dense star power permeated through him. Rumor has it that this pill furnace is called the 7-star treasure furnace. There is a 7-star sky fire formation inside that can absorb the star power that exists everywhere to strengthen the flame, but it is useless to use intense flames to refine herbs. On the contrary, it could easily explode. He doesn't seem to be using the foreseeing alchemy. The fire energy of the foreseeing alchemy shouldn't be so fierce. Could it be that he has another method to refine a high-grade ground-level pill? What method is this? Chen Xiang's pill furnace had already turned red, and everyone could see that the flames inside were extremely terrifying. Using such a method to refine pills was not feasible in the eyes of many. She was now absolutely certain that the person was Chen Xiang. However, she did not say it out loud, because she had a strong intuition. Lu Menger watched unblinkingly. She was worried that Chen Xiang's red-hot pill furnace would suddenly explode. I never thought that this pill furnace would be so powerful. The flame inside should be from a 5 elements heavenly fire. Song Ying praised. As expected of something from the devil-killing summit, it is indeed extraordinary. There's not only 5 elements heavenly fire inside, there are even more powerful flames. However, this person has swapped out the 2 types of flames. If one does not pay careful attention, it would be difficult to discover that there's actually someone who can control 2 types of flames. Lu Zhongyu exclaimed. If the Divine Saber Immortal Palace did not prove that they sold the pill furnace, it would be hard for me to believe that this person did not belong to the devil-killing summit. Wu Canghong said. It's not just that. He should have just bought the pill furnace not too long ago, but he can control it so quickly. It seems like he must be someone who frequently controls high-grade magical equipment. Lu Zhongyu now stared fixedly at Chen Xiang. In everyone's eyes, Chen Xiang was just sitting there with his eyes closed, his hands pressed to the fire outlet and releasing flames. The many famous Dan Immortal on the stage all felt a sense of pressure. If they were led by an unknown person, their hearts would definitely not feel good. There are many strong flames in the Dan Immortal here, but the grade of the medicinal herbs refined is very low for them. They can't use the flames as they please. Their hearts will definitely be filled with anxiety. Su Meiyao laughed tenderly. This might be another advantage of being a god purification. It can allow the alchemist to release flames to concoct pills to his heart's content. Chen Xiang agreed with Su Meiyao's words very much. He felt very satisfied already, but he was also continuously increasing the intensity of the flames, allowing the 7-star sky fire formation inside to absorb the surrounding star power as much as it wanted, and also increasing the intensity of his furnace. Burn to your heart's content. Chen Xiang screamed in his heart, and used his divine power to crazily attack the spirit of the spirit medicine, quickly turning a large amount of the spirit medicine into powder and medicine aura. Throwing a large amount of ingredients into the furnace, then condensing the pills in one go in finest. Plusing the process in one furnace. Chen Xiang had already succeeded many times. He would have to use the heavenly alchemy and his strong G.O.D. power to do it here. In order to obtain the cauldron, Chen Xiang had already given his all and used all his strength. This was only the first round, and the following matches might not be beneficial for a low-leveled alchemist like him. The other Dan Immortals stopped paying attention to Chen Xiang and focused on concocting pills. If they were Serpa, as said by this unknown junior, they would lose a lot of face. Li Tianjun had already predicted that Chen Xiang would Hi+NE here, but he didn't think that it would be any stronger than what he had imagined. Although he had the upper hand against Bai Xia Dan Immortal, only by obtaining first place could he prove that he had defeated Bai Xia Dan Immortal, so he was under a lot of pressure right now. Many Dan Immortals were secretly hoping that the next rules would favor the Dan Immortal, because they could see that Chen Xiang's cultivation was not high and was only at the immortal realm. He could not possibly be able to refine immortal pills, and he gave off the feeling that he was very young. Chen Xiang's crimson 7 stars explosion furnace suddenly dimmed and started to shake slightly. One look at it and one could tell that it was about to condense a pill. Previously, many people thought that he would fail, but they did not expect him to last so long and even reach the core formation stage. Everyone was very curious about what was going on inside the pill furnace to actually be able to enter the core formation stage. Chen Xiang's God power was as vast as the ocean as it poured into the 7 stars exposure. It turned into many sharp blades, evenly dividing the large lump of air into 54 spheres, then compressing them together again and quickly compressing them into a pill. 9 sets of medicinal ingredients and 54 pellets was equivalent to 6 pellets per pellet. Chen Xiang was very confident in this kind of control. When Chun Xiang lifted the lid of the 7 Stars treasure furnace, a dense amount of densely packed pills floated up Hi plus Ning with a translucent light. The rich medicinal fragrance spread out like a gust of wind. That kind of extremely high-quality pill made many Dan immortals secretly sigh in admiration. 54 pills, not too many. 1 serving for 6. The Long family's very high elder took a deep breath. As for the fastest Dan immortal, he had only refined 8 of them, while Chun Xiang had already completed 10. In total, he had refined 65 elements profound Dan, and his speed was the fastest. Everyone could only describe this kind of person as a monster. This sort of genius was not only shocking but also terrifying. This was because the pill furnace he used didn't have time to speed up the array, meaning that he still had great potential. Chun Xiang flew onto the stage with the box of 5 elements profound Dan and let the elders inspect it. At the same time, he also received 10 portions of 5 elements profound Dan. From start to end, Chun Xiang had always been stronger than those Dan immortal, and now, he was far ahead of them. He had already obtained 180 points, and even the Dan immortal who went up to exchange for more points was probably a far cry from him. From start to end, Chun Xiang had always been stronger than those Dan immortal, and now, he was far ahead of them. He had already obtained 180 points, and even the Dan immortal who went up to exchange for more points was probably a far cry from him. The eyes of Lu Menger, who was watching from the VIP box, were filled with suspicion, because she saw Chun Xiang's shadow on that person. In her memories, when Chun Xiang had competed in the pill refining compet. 1. Tian many times, he had always performed an extraordinary refining technique that shocked everyone, and now, the person in front of her was the same, causing her to wonder if it was Chun Xiang. Zilan, I remember that you've told me many times that my little brother was once this popular in the alchemy compet. 1. Tian, right? Long Huishan looked at the dazed Yen Zilan. Chun Xiang? That's right, I was watching by the side when the compet. 1. Tian started. His pill refining skills were indeed brilliant. The number of pills produced, the speed at which he concocted them, including quality, are all extremely high. When he is concocting pills, he always pursues the peak. It seems like he is competing with others, but in truth it is more like he is competing with himself. Yen Zilan said faintly. Right now, the person here seems to be the same. The surrounding environment does not have any effect on him. He seems to already be immersed in the joy of his own compet. 1. Tian. This is a kind of realm, it's also a compet. 1. Tian. If I were to compete with someone else, I would only think that if the opponent is better, then I would have won. If I were to compete with myself, then I would have to defeat my previous self, which is equivalent to Serpa's sing my own limits. If I were able to achieve this, then it would not be as simple as just defeating the opponent a little. The very high elder said, causing Long Huishan and Yen Zilan to nod their heads in agreement. So this person looks very similar to Chun Xiang. Could he really be the guy who likes to cause trouble? Long Huishan opened her eyes wide and looked at Chun Xiang's back figure. Looking at her, she seemed to wish for nothing more than to immediately rush over and grab Chun Xiang to ask him about it. It should be him. If you've watched his matches a few times, you'll understand that he's completely using his full strength right now. He can't conceal his current state. Yen Zilan let out a long sigh of relief. He still has many symbols on him. If he was forced to use it, his ident. 1. Tai would not be concealed. My Long family will definitely protect him. He is my sworn brother and also my benefactor. Even if I have to risk my life, no one is allowed to touch a single hair on his head. Long Huishan said. The very high elder nodded his head. It's just that the Dragon Emperor is a little difficult to deal with. He's right here, and for the sake of the Green Dragon Demon-Slain broadsword, he would do anything. After Chen Xiang obtained 10 batches of 5 elements profound Dan S, after tidying them up, he threw all of them into the pill furnace. If he had 100 batches, he would definitely put them in too. At this moment, some of the Dan Immortal were secretly worried, because Chen Xiang's speed of refining pills was simply too fast. They were worried that the ingredients would be completely refined. He Peiqing kept a close eye on Chen Xiang and did not let go of even the slightest of clues. Furthermore, he deeply suspected that Chen Xiang was the devil-killing summit who had entered the palace that day. Father, is there any way to spy on him? After this compet 1. Tie-in ends, we'll rest for 2 hours. How about we make our move then? He Feng whispered to He Peiqing. No, that will affect our reputation. Everything can be discussed after the end of the compet. 1. Tie-in, but we do not have any evidence, and we do not know the background of this man, so if there is a powerful force backing him up, it would be against us. We have just obtained the throne, so we should avoid any conflicts with the other forces at this stage of the compet. 1. Tie-in. He Peiqing replied. Chen Xiang's pill furnace quickly turned red. Just like before, no one dared to have any doubts about the result. Success earlier on had already turned the tables on everyone, and shocked everyone, and now, many of the alchemists who were spectating at the sides stared at Chen Xiang without blinking. They had completely ignored those famous Dan Immortals, because they wanted to learn something from them, but until now they had not reaped any benefits at all. Brat, Dragon Emperor is here, you need to be careful, said from afar. Previously, he was also shocked by Chen Xiang's pill refining skills. He really suspected that the person who imparted the skills to Chen Xiang came from the devil-killing summit. I'm not afraid, I'm a leader of the dragon subduing school. Chen Xiang replied with a smile. Good boy, if something really happens, I'll scold that dragon emperor and then run away. Just thinking about it makes me satisfied. Huang Jintian chuckled. The old lady from the Long family had also finished 10 of the pills, which was pretty good for her. She had refined 25 of the pills out of the 10 5 elements profound Dan S, obtaining 75 points, which was second place, but there was still a big difference between her and Chen Xiang, so her expression was not very good. Furthermore, the pressure was also huge, because she was pressed down by a little brat. Not only her, but all the other Dan Immortals present as well. When Li Tianjun and the Fire Divine Palace went to deliver the pellets, the calculated score was in the 3rd place or 4th place. Li Tianjun had 72 points, which was more than 3 points ahead of the Bai Xia Dan Immortal. Following that, Xiao Profound Yun and the Bai Xia Dan Immortal were both 69 points, while the 66 points had more than a dozen Dan Immortals. However, compared to Chen Xiang's 180 points, it was not even enough to look at him, and not even half of his points had been reached. Even the points of 2 or 3 other people combined could not compare to Chen Xiang, and the complexions of those Dan Immortals who were separated by this kind of difference slightly turned green. Most of the alchemists have already completed the first round of 10 sets of medicinal herbs. I never thought that there would be such a difference in the score. That person is really amazing, and if he also succeeded in the second round, the gap would become bigger and bigger. This is only the beginning. Wan. Ji Weiquan looked at Xiao Profound Yun and said with a smile, Yuner, as a newcomer, being able to get this rank is already not bad. Old Wang, why isn't Xiang Yu here? She's your disciple. Even if she isn't Partic. 1p. Aiding in the compet. 1. Tian, she should be here to support us. Lu Zhongyu asked. He had just finished speaking when he heard a knock on the door of their box. As you say, that's right. This must be the little girl, Xiangyue. I wonder where she went, she's only here now. Wan. Ji Weiquan immediately opened the door, and sure enough, it was Hua Xiangyue. Master. The moment Hua Xiangyue entered, she shouted with a charming smile. When Hua Xiangyue walked in, he immediately bowed to Wu Canghong, Lu Zhongyu, and Song Ying. Because they were all elders, even though they looked to be just as young as she was. Little girl, don't be so polite with us. Where's Qian? Why didn't she come? Song Ying asked with a smile. She's in closed-door training. She's very diligent, Hua Xiangyue said as he walked to Lu Menger's side and reached the window where he could clearly see the auction from below. Hua Xiangyue frowned. It was because I saw that guy concocting pills that I did not come up. Xiangyue, you are a pill refiner. What do you think of this person? Ji Weiquan asked. Hua Xiangyue was quiet for a while, then said quietly, "They look very similar to Junior Martial Uncle." When Hua Xiangyue said this, Ji Weiquan and the others were extremely shocked. When Hua Xiangyue said this, Ji Weiquan and the others were extremely shocked. Say, this person looks very much like Junior Apprentice Brother. Of course, Ji Weiquan knew that Chen Xiang was a genius alchemist. He had only heard of them and had never seen them with his own eyes. Song Ying noticed that her daughter did not feel surprised. It was obvious that she knew about it. She came to Lu Menger's side and asked, "Menger, do you think so too?" Lu Menger nodded her head. "As long as you have seen him concoct pills once, you will understand. His demeanor when concocting pills is exactly the same as this person's. But right now I can't be sure. Although Junior Martial Uncle has always loved to cause trouble, he should be clear about the situation here. Rumor has it that Dragon Emperor has returned, and he has the Green Dragon Demon-Slain broadsword, so he must be carefully considering if he should come." Hua Xiangyue said, "This person's pill refinement is indeed different from the others. His appearance is as though he is entertaining himself, completely unaffected by the atmosphere of the entire arena." Ji Weiquan stroked his chin and said, "If he is really my junior brother, then Xian Yun is not a lot behind him. Xian Yun is his senior sister. If Mistress loses to her junior brother, what will happen to her?" Hua Xiangyue asked curiously, with a mischievous smile on his face. Ji Weiquan looked serious. "We'll find out after she loses." Chen Xiang had already opened his pill furnace. This time, Chen Xiang was able to refine 10 batches of 5 elements profound Dan and 60 pills in one go. This kind of control made many Dan immortals secretly admire him from the bottom of their hearts. Chen Xiang's score had already reached 360 points, pressuring the Dan immortal S to the point that they had to take a deep breath. They could not wait to smash Chen Xiang's water jar furnace to the point that they couldn't continue refining. If they really did shatter it, even if Chen Xiang did not use a pill furnace, he would still be able to refine it. Sweat trickled down the foreheads of the elders of Myriad Dan Immortal Country. It had only been half an hour, and they had already refined so many medicinal ingredients, so the compet 1. Tie-in would continue for 1 day and 1 night. Right now, Chen Xiang was still full of energy. From the looks of it, he seemed to be able to fight continuously for 7 days and 7 nights. It had already been 2 hours since the start of the compet 1 tie-in. Chen Xiang had refined a total of 65 elements profound Dan S, for a total of 1080 points. The second was the old lady from the Long family. With 432 points, Chen Xiang had more than double her point. The third and fourth place were always occupied by Li Tianjun and the Bai Xia Dan Immortal, sometimes third. The two fought intensely, and sometimes score a little less than the second place. Fifth place was Xiao Profound Yun. She was very stable, and the other Dan Immortaless were always a little less than her. The sky quickly darkened, and everyone continued to watch the compet 1 tie-in with interest. Until late into the night, not a single person left the compet 1 tie-in grounds, while Chen Xiang was as brutal as ever, leaving the other Dan Immortal far behind. After 20 hours had passed, Chen Xiang had refined a total of 605 elements profound Dan, and he himself had refined many of them himself. Furthermore, not many 5 elements profound Dan dared to touch them, because the quality was poor. It was already morning, and the compet. 1. Tian had not been going on for long, and on the newly updated scoreboard, Chen Xiang had already scored more than 10,000 points, which was placed at the top, looking down on all the other heroes. The Dan Immortal were already used to it, and everyone was already numb to it. Time's up! He Peiqing shouted. The first was Chen Xiang, without a doubt. The second was the Long family's Dan Immortal, Long Peirong, who was also the old granny. The third was Li Tianjun. The fourth was the Bai Xia Dan Immortal. The fifth was Xiao Profound Yun. Although Bai Xia Dan Immortal had gotten 4th place, her expression was calm, and did not reveal any emotions. The city was very deep, and even though Xiao Profound Yun had not entered the top 3, she was already very satisfied with herself, because she had the ability to suppress the other Dan Immortal. Those in the top 3 can come up and take away your pills, but those who haven't entered the top 1,000, please leave as you wish. He Peiqing said. Although the top 3 could have taken away those pills, but the total number of pills refined by the 10,000 alchemist S was very much. Everyone please rest first. The second round will begin in 2 hours, and at that time, the rules will be announced. You can reveal one thing, that at that time, only 10 alchemists will be able to enter the final round. He Peiqing's words caused the hearts of many Dan Immortal to tremble. The majority of the remaining 1,000 alchemist S were all high-ranking. There were many Dan Immortal S, but only 10 of them would be able to enter the finals to fight for the first place. Now, what was certain was that there would be at least 5 alchemist S who would be able to enter the finals, which meant that they would be in the top 5. However, Chen Xiang did not think so, because the first round was beneficial to him. The pills being refined was not too high-leveled. If it really is Junior Martial Uncle, then I'm afraid it won't be good for him. Hua Xiangyue frowned. According to the normal course of events, the pellets that are going to be refined next will definitely be high-leveled pellets, and low-leveled pellets cannot be used by the Dan Immortal S to the maximum level. But Junior Martial Uncle is still very young, and is unable to refine a high-leveled pellet. The 1,000 Dan Immortal King does not plan to give away his precious divine cauldron, so he will definitely come up with a rule that looks very fair, but is beneficial to the Dan Immortal, so that the few Dan Immortal S will be able to squeeze into the 10 spots and make it to the first place. That way, he will not lose the divine cauldron. Wu Tsunghong laughed coldly. Although the organizers are not allowed to partake. 1 P8 in this kind of compet. 1 Tian, but who doesn't know that he has sent Dan Immortal S? Brat, is that broken divine furnace very important? From the looks of it, you're going to throw caution to the wind. Huang Jintian asked. It's very important. You'll understand it in the future. Chen Xiang had the Dan Emperor's map, so if he could find the divine cauldron's lid at that place, it would be a complete divine cauldron. I thought you used it to make dragon soup. Huang Jintian laughed. The interior of the divine cauldron was very S.P. A-sious and could be used to smelt large-scale objects. This was indeed a very mysterious place. Little girl Xiangyue also came. I saw her standing there for a long time, watching the event, and then she went to the VIP box. She probably went to meet up with your eldest senior brother and the others. From the looks of it, she seemed to recognize you. If Hua Xiangyue had come, it would also be normal for him to be able to recognize him, so he was not surprised at all. There were only 2 hours of rest time, and all the alchemist S had consumed some medicinal pellets to replenish their energy. 2 hours was very little for them, but this was the limit of challenging alchemist. There were only 2 hours of rest time, and all the alchemist S had consumed some medicinal pellets to replenish their energy. 2 hours was very little for them, but this was the limit of challenging alchemist. Many Dan Immortal knew that the following rules would definitely benefit them, unlike last time, which caused them to lack all their abilities, but they were unable to completely display it, allowing a nameless junior to step on their heads. In their eyes, Chen Xiang was someone whose strength had not even reached the immortal monarch. Without the immortal monarch's strength, it meant that the pills being refined would not be of a high level, and if he were to push himself to death, it would only be a high-grade heaven-level pill. It would not be easy for him to concoct the immortal pills. It was not enough to have talent. He still needed a certain amount of strength. Previously, Chen Xiang had asked around that there would not be any compet. 1. Tie-in that would produce elixirs, and even high-grade heaven-level pills were very rare, because these were all relatively valuable medicinal ingredients, and not just anyone could produce them. Of course, if the organizers of the compet 1. Tie-in were to produce them for the alchemist S to refine, that would be fair. Chen Xiang was a little nervous, but he firmly believed that as long as there was a suitable pill for him to refine in the compet 1. Tie-in, he would not lose. He Peiqing walked onto the stage, his gaze sweeping across the alchemist below, and said slowly, "The second round is about to begin. Let me first talk about the rules. There are many Dan Immortal present here, and the previous match more or less caused them to feel aggrieved. Furthermore, everyone will definitely feel unsatisfied, because they are all just ground-level pills. This compet 1. Tie-in still uses the method of ranking the points, but it is very different from last time. As long as you can concoct a high-quality ground-level pellet, 1 pellet can be exchanged for 1 point, while the low-quality heaven-level pellet is worth 50 pellet. The middle-quality heaven-level is 300 pellets, and the high-quality heaven-level is worth 1,000 pellet. However, the ingredients for the heaven-level pill are limited. If everyone wishes to obtain a limited number of heaven-level pill ingredients, everyone can first use their own ingredients to refine a batch of low-grade heaven-level pills. According to the price of 1 pill with 50 points, the highest score will be able to obtain a certain amount of ingredient. If you are unable to obtain the ingredients for the heaven-level pill, you can also use your own ingredients to partake. 1 P8 in the compet. 1 Tie-in. The points are exactly the same as before. Furthermore, the pills refined are also yours. He Peiqing saw that many of the alchemist's expression were slightly ugly, and said, "Right now we can give everyone 2 hours to gather the medicinal ingredients. If we choose to refine the ground-level pill, we can provide a large number of medicinal ingredients." The ground-level pills were only worth 1 point each, but the high-grade heaven-level pills were worth 1,000 points each. If he could refine 2 of them in 1 furnace, that would be 2,000 points, which was equivalent to 2,000 ground-level pills. If a fool chose to refine a ground-level pill, then refining a ground-level pill would be impossible. If refining a low-grade heaven-level pill, 1 pill would have 50 points each, but with a bit of speed, it would still be comparable to refining high-grade heaven-level pills, or choose to refine a middle-grade heaven-level pill with 300 points each. Although he had prepared in his heart, he was still angered by this rule. This had already made the ground-level pill completely lose its status. It was obvious that this was all aimed at him. Other than him, the other alchemists here probably did not have any complaints, especially now that they could gather more ingredients. Alchemists who were able to partake. 1 P8 in the compet. 1 Tie-in all had their own background. There were definitely some medicinal ingredients as well. Almost all of the alchemists had left the venue, and only Chen Xiang was sitting there. He did not have much to collect. He did not have many spiritual crystal, and there was not a single powerful force supporting him from behind. His creation divine liquid could not create a large number of heaven-level pills in a short time either, so copying the heaven-level pills would require a lot of creation divine liquid and it was too late now. "Aren't you going to gather the herbs?" He Peiqing saw that Chen Xiang was sitting there unmoving, and asked. I don't have a spiritual crystal, Chen Xiang lightly replied, and then asked. If I can enter the top 3, I can take away those pills, right? If you refine it using your own medicine, you can take away any ranking. If you enter the top 3 and use the medicine from our myriad Dan, immortal country, then you can take it away. He Peiqing could tell that Chen Xiang did not have much of a foundation, or else he would have gone to gather medicinal ingredients a long time ago. He was very clear that as long as it was the alchemist, they would not bring a large amount of medicinal ingredients with them. Then how many ground-level ingredients do you have? What if it's not enough for me to refine? What should I do? Chen Xiang asked again. Hearing his question, he knew that he was going to risk his life to refine the ground-level pill. Previously, he said that he did not have any spiritual crystal, and it could be seen that he was the only one partic. 1p. Aiding in the compet. 1 Tian. If you are able to refine all of our ground-level pills within 12 hours, and your points are not enough to enter the top 10, I will give you a special exception, so that you can break into the final round. Furthermore, those pills are all yours. He Peiqing said solemnly. He Peiqing was extremely confident in his own ground-level's medicinal ingredients, and there was even a large amount that he had not finished refining. That was something that they had accu mulat for many years, and there were many that were rotten medicinal ingredients. Previously, when Chen Xiang refined the high-rank ground-level pills, he was able to refine more than 4,000 in 20 hours. However, the 5 elements profound Dan had used up a lot of its medicinal ingredients, so there wasn't much left. If he chose other ground-level pills, the number he would produce would probably decrease, but for those who refined high-quality heaven-level pills, he would get 1,000 points for each pill, which could be said to be very easy to obtain very high points. To those Dan Immortals, high-quality heaven-level pills were simply nothing. Everyone felt that it would be difficult for Chen Xiang to enter the top 10 even if he was given 2 days' time, because the speed at which these Dan Immortal refined high-grade heaven-level pills was also very savage. In addition to the great progress made in the current time formation, it was even faster to refine high-grade pills. Brat, do you want me to steal some heaven-level pills for you? Even a fool can calculate that I will lose in refining the ground-level pills. Huang Jintian sent a sound transmission to Chen Xiang. This kind of thing could be seen at a glance, there was no need to count it. Master, if I can enter the top 10, how about you give me back that bird's leg? If I lose, I'll give you another bird's leg. Chen Xiang asked with a smile. I won't do it. Huang Jintian was not stupid. With Chen Xiang's confidence, there must be some other way to win. When He Peiqing had just mentioned that he could gather ingredients, many people in the VIP box had already left. Using their fastest speed to gather a large amount of heaven-level medicinal ingredients, many powers had stored up a lot of them. There was only Chen Xiang sitting alone on the wide compet.i.Tian grounds. Many people suspected that he did not have the ability to quickly refine high-level pellets, so they did not struggle and decided to kill him on the ground-level pellet. There was only Chen Xiang sitting alone on the wide compet.1 grounds. Many people suspected that he did not have the ability to quickly refine high-level pellets, so they did not struggle and decided to kill him on the ground-level pellet. Granny Rong, if you were to refine a high-grade heaven-level pill, how long would it take? Long Huishan held onto the old granny's arm intimately. Long Peirong had also been badly beaten by Chen Xiang on the stage, but her mood had improved a lot now. She smiled benevolently and said, 1 furnace in 2 hours, 1 furnace 2 pills won't be a problem, in 12 hours, I can definitely concoct 12 pills. That's equivalent to 12,000 points. If that brat concocted a ground-level pill, he would also have to concoct 12,000 pills in 12 hours. Even with the arrival of the pill sage, it would not be possible for him to do such a thing. Peirong, you can't let your guard down. It's definitely no accident that he was able to suppress all of you Dan immortal. He did it with his true abilities. This compet. 1. Tien was not fair to begin with. The very high elder scolded sternly. Dad, I understand. Long Peirong stopped smiling. Yen Xilan, who was standing at the side, was secretly shocked. She did not think that such a powerful old granny would actually have a father, who was also the very high elder of the Long family. It was the first time she heard that the Long family only had a very high elder, and previously, she was believed that the strongest in the Long family was only Long Peirong. Imperial Dragon Clan of the Imperial Dragon Clan are also present, but he is very low-key and did not attract anyone's attention. The Long family very high elder said, "It's that young man. He has a very dense holy dragon aura, so it should be a holy dragon. He's also very strong, so he'll be able to become a dragon king very soon. He looks very young." Long Peirong nodded. Right now he was resting, and he had even eaten a few pieces of Hunyuan Dan, sealing the medicinal power in his dantian. He was worried that it would not be enough to concoct pills with the innate qi later. It was normal for one pellet to be worth 1,000, but for people who could not concoct high-quality heaven-level pellets, it was a bit unfair. It was just that this compet. 1. Tien was just to show off to the Dan Immortal, and the low-leveled alchemist was just to join in on the fun. If a low-level alchemist came to Partic 1. p. 8 in the tournament and clamored for fairness, it would be a complete joke because this compet. 1. Tien was not prepared for low-level alchemist at all. "Mistress, you should rest well. Let Master and the others handle the matter of collecting medicinal ingredients." Hua Xiangyue giggled and pinched Xiao Profoundian's shoulder. Xiao Profoundian leaned on the chair, fully enjoying the Ma's sage from Su Meiyao. At this time, Lu Zhongyu, Wu Canghong and the others had all left to help her gather the medicinal ingredients. Only Song Ying, Lu Menger and the women stayed behind. "Aunt Xianyun, I didn't think that you would be so amazing, being able to get so close to the front." Lu Menger looked at Xiao Profoundyun in admiration, because at that time, Xiao Profoundyun was just an alchemist. "Your mother isn't bad either. If it's a refining compet. 1. Tien or something like that, your parents will definitely be among the best." After Xiao Profoundyun finished speaking, he sighed slightly. "However, compared to the freak in first place, I'm still far too lacking, and the following matches seem to be very disadvantageous for him. It seems like he doesn't plan to refine the heaven-level pellet." Lu Menger looked at Hua Xiangyue, hinting that he should tell Xiao Profoundyun some things. "Master, I don't know if I should tell you something." Hua Xiangyue was a little hesitant, because he had not confirmed whether the person was Chen Xiang or not. "Don't dilly-dally, don't you know that I hate people like this the most?" Xiao Profoundyun pouted and said, "We suspect that the one in first place is our junior martial uncle." "Ah!" Xiao Profoundyun jumped up from his chair and looked at Hua Xiangyue with an expression of disbelief. "That guy is mine. Junior apprentice brother." Hua Xiangyue stuck out his tongue. "It's very possible that he is." Xiao Profoundyun frowned. She thought for a moment and then smiled. "If this guy is really junior, then I'll let him see how powerful I am. I'm his senior sister, I definitely can't lose to him. This must be kept a secret. Right now, junior martial uncle is in danger." Hua Xiangyue warned. "I'm not stupid, of course I understand. I really hope it's him. I never thought that the first time I met this junior brother, I would directly exchange pointers with him." Xiao Profoundyun was obviously happy. Song Ying chuckled. "But you lost to him, and lost very miserably. Junior martial uncle is truly pitiful. Without the heaven-level medicinal herbs, I wonder how he would be able to enter the top 10. Eyes flashed. She was Chen Xiang's slave, and had been involved with Chen Xiang multiple times, so her mind and body was already occupied by Chen Xiang. However, She didn't show that kind of emotion in front of Xiao Profoundyun and Song Ying, otherwise, it would be very easy for her to be seen through. The first person to return to the compet. 1. Tian Arena was a very young man. He had a proud expression on his face and walked with steps that Chen Xiang felt he had seen before. This is a holy dragon. If I did not see him alone here, I would not have noticed him. I never thought that this fellow was actually an alchemist, and concealed himself so deeply. Long Xue's voice carried a rare heaviness. At this time, the compet. 1. Tian grounds were much emptier, and some Dan Immortal-s could choose to stay far away from them, but Chen Xiang chose to stay at the area furthest from the front desk. At the back of the compet. 1. Tian grounds, there were no alchemist-s. Because the ground level pills score is a bit low, we can receive 500 in one go. I believe that everyone will be able to reach this stage, and very rarely will they fail to refine pills. I am not worried that everyone will waste our medicinal ingredient. He Peiqing had also returned to the arena. He actually wanted to see how Chen Xiang obtained victory, because in the eyes of the audience, this was an absolutely impossible feat, just as Long Peirong had said. Even if the pill saint came, he would not be able to turn the tide, unless Chen Xiang also refined a heaven-level pill. Xiao Profoundyun had obtained a large amount of heaven-level pill medicinal ingredients. She intentionally walked past Chen Xiang, and carefully examined the person that might be his junior brother. However, she could not see anything, but she could feel that Chen Xiang was not nervous at all. He just sat there quietly with his eyes closed, as if he had merged with the world. Kid, do you really not have the ingredients for the heaven-level pill? Li Tianjun sent a sound transmission to Chen Xiang. He knew that Chen Xiang could refine heaven-level pills, but he felt that it was a pity that he couldn't see Chen Xiang refining the heaven-level pills with his own eyes. Don't worry about me, I already have a plan, Chen Xiang replied. However, only Li Tianjun knew how terrifying Chen Xiang's bottomless potential was. Even though the rules restricted him, if he could break through the limits and win against the rules that were against him, then it would definitely be a huge improvement. Chen Xiang was at the back of the group of alchemists. He looked at his surroundings and saw that the place he was at was completely empty. He had intentionally chosen this place. Chen Xiang was at the back of the group of alchemists. He looked at his surroundings and saw that the place he was at was completely empty. He had intentionally chosen this place. Chen Xiang looked at this group of alchemists in front of him and sighed helplessly in his heart. He had originally wanted to try and fight for them, but in terms of refining heaven-level pills, he was probably inferior to these Dan Immortal-s. Currently, these Dan Immortal-s who were refining pills could use most of their strength to refine heaven-level pills. Even when Chen Xiang used all his strength, he was still unable to compare to them. If they don't use the time acceleration array inside the pill furnace, they might still have a chance. Su Meiyao said, "The formations in this era are becoming more and more powerful. They have improved a lot compared to our era, especially the time formation. Sister Meiyao, if you were to go all out to refine high-grade heaven-level pills, how long would it take for you to refine a batch of pills?" Chen Xiang asked. He wanted to use this to predict the strength of the Dan Immortal. About 1 furnace in 8 hours. It's easier to refine, but 2 won't be a problem. If I were to use those time formation now, I estimate that it would be completed within 6 hours. Su Meiyao thought about it and replied. From this, it could be seen that the refining difficulty of middle-graded pills was much greater than low-ranked pills, and heaven-level pills had 1,000 points, which was also very normal. The pills were rare herbs, so it was impossible for Myriad Dan Immortal Country to provide too many, but if other alchemists wanted to refine them, they would have to produce them themselves. Furthermore, the refining difficulty was very high, and the time required was also very long. The first person who refined the Hunyuan Dan was the Long family's Dan Immortal. Until now, Chen Xiang still did not know where this Long Peirong came from. He only knew that she was from the Long family. However, from the looks of Long Peirong and the others, they could tell that she had a very big background. Long Peirong obtained 3 sets of ingredients for high-rank heaven level S, but the second completed Dan Immortal was much more surprising to many. It was actually a young man, who was the holy dragon that Imperial Dragon Clan sent over, who obtained 2 sets of high-grade heaven level S. The third was Li Tianjun. Ever since he lost to Bai Xia Dan Immortal last time and received some stimulation, he had made great progress. Fourth was that Bai Xia Dan Immortal, she had the same set of high-grade heaven-level medicinal ingredients as Li Tianjun, as well as 3 middle-grade ones. Fifth was Xiao Profoundyun, and sixth was the person Chen Xiang was very familiar with, Du Hai. Du Hai was not ranked in the previous round, but that did not mean his strength was weak. Furthermore, he was here on behalf of the sacred Dan realm, and had probably collected a large amount of heaven-level medicinal herbs. The seventh was the Dan Immortal from the devil-suppressing Divine Palace. He had a strong demonic presence. As for the remaining 3 people who were able to obtain the medicinal ingredients, Chen Xiang did not know them, but he noticed that when the 3 Dan Immortal S were receiving the medicinal ingredients, they had an eye contact with Yi Peiqing, so he guessed that they were Dan Immortal S that had been sent by the myriad Dan Immortal country. Those alchemists who were unable to obtain the medicinal ingredients felt that it was a little regretful, but before they left, they had already prepared sufficient heaven-level medicinal ingredients. So many of them had faces full of confidence, thinking that they would have the chance to squeeze into the top 10. Of the 1,000 extremely high-level alchemists, only 10 would be able to enter the finals. Now, alchemist who wishes to receive ground-level pills, please come up to receive them. After that, I will announce the start of the compet. 1 Tian. Yi Peiqing said as he looked at Chen Xiang, because he was the only one who chose to refine the ground-level pill. Everyone had only suspected it before, but they never thought that someone would actually choose to refine a ground-level pill. A single pill only had 1 point, and if one used all their might to refine it, they would definitely not be able to defeat those Dan Immortal who were refining high-grade heaven-level S. But Chen Xiang walked up quickly. How many more 5 elements profound Dan do you guys still have? Chen Xiang asked. There are still 3,000 of these. An old man replied. I can only receive 500 at most. Since there aren't any alchemist who can receive it now, can you let me receive a little more at once? Chen Xiang asked. It's the same for you. Don't tell me you can concoct over 1,000 pills at once. The old man asked in disdain. Your pill furnace can't hold that many, can it? Yi Peiqing said. Only 500 pills at a time. This is the rule that was previously set. We will calculate according to the number of pills that you will give us, and when we count the total, if there are more than 10 failures, you will have to leave. 500 then. Chen Xiang sighed. Many people did not understand why he wanted so much at one go. No one could refine so many at once. Chen Xiang took the 500 sets of 5 elements profound Dan medicine and returned to his position. The second round of the myriad pill compet. 1 Tian will now begin. After Yi Peiqing finished speaking, a big-sized man knocked on a large gong, and after a clang sound, all the alchemists immediately placed the medicinal ingredients into the furnace. Even the small amount of heaven-level S provided by the myriad Dan Immortal country was the same, but the ground-level S he received were still the same. Not only were their quality poor, some of them were even filled with rubbish and mud. In a very short period of time, those Dan Immortal S had already entered the state of refining pills, but Chen Xiang had poured out all 500 sets of medicinal ingredients he had received. Everyone saw Chen Xiang release all the broken medicinal ingredients, immediately feeling a headache. Forget about refining them, even if they were to tidy them up properly, it would make them feel dizzy. Moreover, 1 pellet each time would cause the alchemist to have no motivation. However, Chen Xiang was carefully cleaning up those medicinal herbs. He did not feel troubled, nor did he look unhappy. Instead, he was filled with confidence, and there was a sense of excitement in his expression. Although there were a lot of them, Chen Xiang handled them very quickly and carefully. After he finished organizing them, he took almost an hour, and there were some people who had already finished training a batch, but that was only for the low-grade heaven level. It's about to begin, Hua Xiangyue said somewhat excitedly. If he is really my junior martial uncle, after this, all of you will see a scene that you will never forget. What's going to happen? Ji Weiquan asked curiously. I don't know either, but if he wants to win in this kind of situation, he must use some very powerful method. Hua Xiangyue said. No matter how I think about it, I just can't figure out how to use a ground-level pill to win. It's only a single point per pill. Even with the pill refining speed he had before, he still wouldn't be able to enter the top 10 rank. The Dan Immortal within the top 10 are all very strong, and right now they are all refining high-grade heaven-level pills, Song Ying said. Chen Xiang did not immediately start concocting pills, but closed his eyes instead. He did not know what he was doing. Even in this kind of situation, he was actually so relaxed, as though he was not aiding in a compet. Chen Xiang did not immediately start concocting pills, but closed his eyes instead. He did not know what he was doing. Even in this kind of situation, he was actually so relaxed, as though he was not aiding in a compet. Whether or not he is Chen Xiang, it all depends on his performance now. Only Chen Xiang can use that mysterious pill refining technique, and now he can only rely on that unimaginable pill refining technique to win this compet. Yan Xilan looked at Chen Xiang with rapt attention, and his voice carried a trace of excitement. Li Tianjun, Du Hai, Long Peirong, and Xiao Profoundyun had all been paying attention to Chen Xiang's location. Li Tianjun knew that it was indeed Chen Xiang, while the other three couldn't be sure, but if it was Chen Xiang, they couldn't let their guard down. What is he doing? Why is the immortal qi suddenly stronger? He Feng asked in shock. This myriad Dan Immortal Palace had a formation that could absorb immortal qi, but it was not activated yet, but a large amount of immortal qi was flowing in, causing many people to be surprised, because the immortal qi was surrounding Chen Xiang. Huang Jintian knew that Chen Xiang was serious, and immediately went on guard. He was worried that if Chen Xiang revealed his identity, later, someone would attack him. Chen Xiang opened his eyes, 2 golden rays of light shooting out. After that, many medicinal ingredients floated up, as though they had a spirit of their own. They combined together. A very powerful divine power, Wu Canghong said emotionally. He was a spirit cultivator, but the G.O.D. power Chen Xiang released shocked him. This divine power, is it from the Imperial Dragon Clan? Long Huishan opened her eyes wide. She was just cultivating her mind, and that was just the beginning. He doesn't belong to the Imperial Dragon Clan, he cultivated it himself. The very high elder was also surprised. Chen Xiang used a large amount of divine power to control the medicinal herbs to float in the air, and then make them into parts. This required a lot of energy, so he could only absorb a large amount of immortal energy into his body to prevent himself from exhausting too much energy. The people of Imperial Dragon Clan were the most shocked, because there was actually a human that could cultivate G.O.D. power to such a level which made them secretly alert. The 500 sets of medicinal ingredients were floating in a neat row, forming a circle around Chen Xiang. Now Chen Xiang did not even need to use that 7 stars treasure furnace. Dewan refining method. Chen Xiang shouted in his heart as the divine power within the divine sense C suddenly surged out, transforming into 100 magic method furnace. If he wanted to quickly refine the ground level's medicinal ingredients, He could only use the Dawan refining method from inside. Qin Xiang's arms trembled, and multicolored light gushed out of his body. It was a large quant. 1. tie of 5 elements heavenly fire, but under his control, they entered into the magic method furnace very accurately. The herbs inside the 100 magic method furnace were like a pile of firewood. When Chen Xiang released the 5 elements heavenly fire above, it instantly ignited into a raging fire. It really is him. Only my junior martial uncle knew how to use this technique. However, before, there weren't that many. Hua Xiangyue said excitedly. The others were already dumbstruck. This time, Chen Xiang used the Dawan refining method differently, because he used the G-O-D purification now. But in his eyes, it was more or less the same. The magic method furnace was transparent, so people could not see it, so the herbs were like being refined out of thin air. They did not use a pill furnace, but could still be used to concoct pills, and even had to concoct 500 sets of ingredients at once. Although it was just a ground-level pill, at the moment the 100 BALLS of herbs that were burning with the 5 elements heavenly fire emitted all kinds of colors, causing everyone to be dumbstruck. The entire compet 1. Tian had just been enveloped by those multicolored lights, and when the medicinal ingredients came into contact with the flames, the multicolored light within was as if it was released by the sun itself. Different medicinal ingredients released different multicolored lights, and normally, they were all covered by the beautiful light of the pill furnace. The Dan Immortals present were all shocked. They had been refining pills for many years, but this was the first time they had seen such a method of refining pills. In the past, they did not even think that Chen Xiang would not chase after them. It's so beautiful. No wonder he was so confident before. Wan. Ji Weiquan was startled for a moment and said while exclaiming, I never thought that refining pills could be done in such a way. Now, it seems that he has a chance of entering the top 10. The rules that originally were very disadvantageous to him are now useless. Lu Zongyu's face was also filled with surprise. No wonder that little girl Xianxian is so confident in Chen Xiang. Furthermore, she said that if Chen Xiang were to partake 1 P8 in this kind of compet 1. Tian, even if he doesn't win, he would be able to use his most powerful refining skills to shock the entire audience. Song Ying was moved. Long Huishan laughed loudly, because she had already confirmed that this was Chen Xiang. I wonder if Granny Long would be angry if she lost to this kid. Long Huishan laughed. G-O-D power, I never thought that he would be able to use G-O-D power so well. These medicinal ingredients were not melted out of thin air. Outside of these medicinal ingredients, there is an invisible pill furnace. This pill furnace is formed from G-O-D power, moreover it is very stable, and won't let the medicine aura and medicinal powder inside leak out. The very high elder was very excited, his face flushed red. Moreover, this is the divine power that you release yourself, the flames can also easily get in, and everything inside can easily be controlled by you. I really don't know how he came up with this idea. How come I never thought of refining pills like this before? If that's the case, then I don't need pill furnaces to concoct low-level pills. If I control them well, then he could concoct so many in one go and so many in such a short period of time. Chen Xiang had used this method in the sacred Dan realm before, when he was still in Di Tian's time, so some people from the heaven realm had long heard of it. At this moment, a few large powers had already begun doubting his ident. 1 Tai. The people in the audience area had also started to spread the news. Even those who did not know about Chen Xiang before had now understood if this person was really Chen Xiang, then a dispute would definitely arise. Just by looking at the green dragon demon-slain broadsword, it could incite a lot of big powers to fight a big battle. Divine Saber Immortal Palace, Imperial Dragon Clan and Devil-Suppressing Divine Palace all wanted this blade very much. Chen Xiang still had the Holy Devil-Suppressing seal on him, and that was also something that belonged to the devil-suppressing divine palace. As for the powerful demons, they were most afraid that these things would fall into the hands of the immortals, so they would definitely fight for them, otherwise it would bring about heavy losses to the demons. Other than that, Chun Xiang also had the heaven-earth killing method on him, as well as Chaos Fire token. This brat is truly fat to the point of overflowing with oil. Even I want to h him away. Huang Jintian snickered in his heart. The reason why Chun Xiang was taking such a huge risk now was also because he wanted to obtain that divine cauldron. After careful consideration, he felt that the divine cauldron was worth the risk. If Chun Xiang could enter the top 10, these medicinal ingredients would be equivalent to giving them to Chun Xiang for free. That would originally be theirs, especially when they saw Chun Xiang turn these pieces of trash into a large number of high-quality medicinal pills. They couldn't help but wish that their own myriad Dan immortal country would have such a genius alchemist. In the room where the group of immortal kings were located, Weng Cheongjin shouted towards the outside with an ice-cold expression, "The relations.h.I+p between Chun Xiang and the Demon Empress is very shallow." Black Blood Magic Sunflower appeared previously in the Heavenly Bull Immortal Palace, and during the great battle of the 20,000 Core Palace, the first Prince Hefeng was also struck by this poison. In the room where the group of immortal kings were located, Weng Cheongjin shouted towards the outside with an ice-cold expression, "The relations. H.I+p between Chun Xiang and the Demon Empress is very shallow." Black Blood Magic Sunflower appeared previously in the Heavenly Bull Immortal Palace, and during the great battle of the 20,000 Core Palace, the first Prince Hefeng was also struck by this poison. "Old witch, I said that you're not young anymore. Aren't you shouting so that others will know that you've been murdered by the super-old poison? Moreover, there is no other reason, you are spraying blood on people, and your Fire Divine Palace must have done a lot of things to forcefully draw Fire Soul. No wonder the Fire Divine Palace accepted you, because the Fire Divine Palace itself is an evil force." The one who spoke was Long Huishan. She was currently a female dragon king of the Long family. Having inherited the Ice Dragon's inheritance, her strength was unfathomable, and she had enough confidence. Huang Jintian also shouted at the top of his lungs, "Isn't the Fire Divine Palace the one who sent the immortal kings to dominate the mortal realm and then be rolled back like homeless dogs? It is said that this was caused by the leader's all-out counterattack, so it isn't strange for them to be making this up. Before they stole someone else, they always found an honest reason to do so, and for all these years, the people who got their Fire Soul did the same thing." Weng Cheongjin was completely speechless. They had indeed suffered a huge loss in Ditian, losing an immortal king and many good seedlings. In the eyes of many people in Heaven Realm, Ditian was just a mortal world. Even the Fire Divine Palace there was not in a good condition, so people always treated him as a joke. For example, the great elder of the Dragon Subduing School was extremely terrifying. In an instant, he was able to kill a Emperor Dragon Guard, and in addition, he had met the Dragon Emperor before. The Dragon Emperor also knew that the mysterious Great Elder was extremely terrifying. Chun Xiang, who was currently using Dewan refining method to refine pills, was not affected much by it, because he had already been prepared for a long time, and his only goal now was to enter the top 10 places in the compet. 1 Tian. "Are you really Chun Xiang? I am Xiao Profoundyun, the wife of your eldest senior brother Weng Weiquan, and Huang Jintian is also my master. If you are Chun Xiang, then you are my junior brother." Xiao Profoundyun whispered to Chun Xiang. "I knew it long ago. Master told me about it, but I should be your second senior brother. You became a disciple later than me, right, junior sister?" Chun Xiang replied with a smile. I am older than you, and I have known you for a long time. When your eldest senior brother and I were married, he was in charge, so I am your senior sister." Xiao Profound Yun didn't think that her own junior brother would actually see her as his junior sister, which made her a little angry in her heart. Isn't that just the rule? You became a disciple later than me, so you are my junior sister, and I also won against you in the previous match. I am qualified to be your senior brother. Chen Xiang replied with a grin. Xiao Profound Yun never thought that Chen Xiang would still be able to easily tangle with her on this issue, and the big shots from the big powers were all staring at him intently, Wisconsin H.I. Plusing that they could stab him to death and take away his things. No, I can't accept it. You must be my junior brother. Xiao Profound Yun couldn't refute Chen Xiang. He could only act shamelessly. Junior apprentice sister, seriously refine the pill, or else you'll be left behind again. Chen Xiang laughed. She didn't expect this junior brother to be so uncooperative, and had already determined that she was her junior sister. This made her very unhappy in her heart, and she decided to wait until the end of the compet. 1. Tian to properly discuss this issue with him. The glow that was emitted by the 100 magic method furnace gradually dimmed and shrunk together. Many people had just seen him release extremely violent 5 elements heavenly fire to burn those medicinal ingredients, but those medicinal ingredients did not explode. This was very logical. Fire Divine Palace and Long Huishan did not argue. If not, Long Huishan would reveal all of the disgraceful things that happened in Fire Divine Palace, causing his reputation to be even worse. It's about to form the core. Hua Xiangyue said, "This guy is my martial uncle. The reason he dared to take such risks must be because of that divine cauldron." Every single magic method furnace had the same progress and changes. This synchronization made everyone secretly admire. Now that everyone had witnessed the scene of refining 500 sets of medicinal ingredients at the same time, and without even using a pill furnace to refine them at first, everyone was shocked, but after that, they carefully looked at the changes in Chen Xiang's pill furnace, as they wanted to learn from it. Chen Xiang spent approximately 2 hours to refine the medicinal ingredient. At this time, they congealed into a ball of air, and this ball of air was split into 30 pieces by him. At the sight of this, everyone knew that he had to produce 30 pills in a single furnace. Each furnace contained 5 batches of medicinal ingredients, and under these circumstances he could maintain his quant. 1. tie without reducing. This made everyone feel that he was a real pill saint. Chen Xiang's consumption was also huge, because when he was refining pills, he needed to inject some creation divine liquid S into the flames, and controlling 100 of them wouldn't be an easy task. Furthermore, he would even need to use the God purification, which consumed a lot of divine power and innate qi. Chen Xiang used his divine power to compress the BALS of qi and slowly condense them into pills. At the moment, when the light was very strong, everyone in the distance could only see a dazzling ball of light, unable to see the details inside. The person who had suspected him of cheating previously was now completely convinced. This was because Chen Xiang had used the transparent magic method furnace to let everyone clearly see how he had concocted multiple pills in one go. But Chen Xiang did not use it. In comparison, everyone felt that the other Dan immortal present could not compare to Chen Xiang at all, although he could only refine ground-level pills, and that was because he could only make ground-level pills. Peiqing looked at the pills that were gradually condensing and forming, and felt very uncomfortable in his heart, because with Chen Xiang's speed, refining all of his herbs was not a problem. Although it was some abandoned medicinal herbs, but after Chen Xiang turned them into treasures, they would still feel their heartache. Even though the rules were not match, Chen Xiang used his superior pill refining skills to tell everyone that the rules were not enough to beat him. The glaring rays of light from the magic method furnace disappeared, and 30 high-quality 5 elements profound Dan were quietly floating in every furnace. There were a total of 3,000, and the 3,000 points were obtained just like that. adding in the time he had taken to process the medicinal ingredients before. Chen Xiang had spent a total of 1.5 hours. Chen Xiang took the large pile of 5 elements profound Dan and walked forward, then picked up another 500 sets of medicinal ingredients from the old man who had an unnatural expression.